Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to the TGS Open Series featuring Fall Guys. My name is Monty, aka Zapgaze, and I'm going to be your host for today. Just to give you a quick rundown of what the format for today is going to be, we've got 16 players who are going to be playing in a bit of a reminiscent of the Fall Mania format. So it's going to be groups of 4 with players competing in 2 games within the same group, and the goal is to get the most kudos over the course of 2 games, and that'll be determined by their placement, by their finishes. Players who actually earn the crown in the lobby will end up getting quite a lot of kudos, so that should be the big indicator of who moves ahead. After 2 games, the top 2 players from each lobby will be moving forward to the next round, while the bottom 2 players from each lobby will be considered to be getting a loss. This is a double elimination tournament, so 1 loss and you're not out, 2 losses and you are. And we're going to be playing until we have our champion. So we're just waiting for the players in the lobby. We should be getting into games shortly. So just hold on one moment and we should have gameplay for you. Right now, I believe we are actually going to be watching Dabs, who is our previous Fall Guys champion. So it should be exciting to get their point of view, as well as Essence, somebody who has been competing in our Fall Guys tournaments. So really exciting to see what a group with 2 players who are quite experienced at the game and 2 of our higher seeds are able to put together. And there we go. We see the players loading in. Let's see what we've got. Gate Crash first course. This is a really nice and easy first course to start off because there aren't really any concerns of anybody getting left behind or getting eliminated. All of these players quite capable and able to ensure that they're going through here. So for the players, this is a nice early opportunity to get that big kudos boost. If you're able to get that first place finish here, you're putting yourselves ahead of the pack. We see Essence on the right, I believe, Dabs on the left in the different avatars, and really Dabs making a good run for it, but gets stuck by the gate here. Oh, and a bit of a lock. This is really going to hurt his chances of being able to get that first place finish. On the other side, Essence also stuck. We do see somebody in their lobby in the Pirate actually getting that 3rd place finish. So nice early boost for them. Both players still do qualify, but a bit of falling behind in terms of kudos for their finishes. The way the game works is you see those medals there, top 50% for both players. The sooner you're able to finish within a race, the more kudos you're going to be able to earn this race head-to-head or group format where getting kudos is going to be everything. As we see the second map getting loaded up, what the players really don't want to see are team games. Team games, as they will all be on the same team, not real opportunity for the players to get ahead in kudos, as everything will be shared within them. But a map like Night Fever, which is another race, will actually be quite beneficial for them, as any player that is able to get the lead here and get the medal will push further ahead. All right, and here we go. On this team, you can see the red arrows. Actually, we have some players going for the Yeetus, but Dabs misses it. Essence going the safer route, going to the right. This time gets the Yeetus, gets that boost, so catching up with some of the other players, but certainly not going as far as ahead as they would like, taking a riskier strategy like that. At this point, the goal for the players is just to get that finish, try to go ahead of the other members on their team, as we see this green bean really making an effort to be ahead of everyone else, being trailed shortly behind by the Pirate. Once again, just a bit falling behind here for Essence on the left. All right, and that's the finish there. Pirate right behind. The Astronaut and Essence there getting that finish. So everybody qualifying, but this time we should have had a bit of a nicer boost of kudos for the green bean. All right. The first two maps really kind of taking it easy, not many opportunities other than something like DoorDash for players to get eliminated. But after two, this is when things really start heating up. This is when we may get some more tougher elimination maps, like something like a fruit shoot, which is something players really don't want to see, as there are more opportunities to get eliminated. Ideally for these players, and there's the fruit shoot as predicted. Ideally for these players, they're all going to make it to the finals, and it's going to be a tight race of who gets that crown to determine who becomes the kudos leader after one game. But at this point, it's really anybody's game. The early maps haven't made enough of an impact. All right, and here we go again. Let's see if either player is going to get the Yeetus that we see in the corner. Oh, huge Yeetus for Essence, as that's going to put him right in a great position to take first place. Dabs shortly behind, also gets that hit, but yeah, significantly great for Essence, as they will actually take the first place finish there. So massive boost for them. Actually, this Pirate's struggling a bit in the background, although gets a great Yeetus hit there. And we'll see if there's actually opportunity for them to make it. It is 9 out of 18, so it looks like they did actually qualify, and that should be all four members of the team once again making it. Really nice and balanced here at the moment, which is great. Down to 18. With all four players left at 18 and realistically looking at one more map before the finals, this is almost the ideal scenario for the players now. Earlier on, you don't really want a team game, but here, everybody wants to make it to the finals. Everybody wants that chance for the crown. So, although the players who are kind of leading the pack on this team, not excited for everyone to get a chance to qualify, this is going to essentially be net neutral, because if the game were to end here, the leaders would keep their lead. If the game goes to the finals, then everybody makes it. And either case scenario is kind of okay. Yellow team off to a great start. These players, plenty of crowns between them, lots of experience. So certainly a team of four of them here, I would think is favored in the average lobby to be able to make it across. And it looks like we do have this fan variation here. So a bit more of a chaotic map than we're normally used to with this Hoops a Daisy. So certainly a chance for a team to get upset if you get some golden rings that are up on top of the fans, preventing you from being able to maybe get that point, as we actually do see we're about, I would say, halfway through time right now, and the yellow team is falling behind. So perhaps there is an opportunity here for our players to get eliminated before they're able to make it to the final map. Something that, again, would be disastrous for the lower ranked players, but not the worst thing in the world for the players like Essence who have already gotten that win. 27 to 30 here. We don't have a great idea of the time, but it is extremely close. Yellow team certainly catching up to blue, who hasn't seemed to have been able to get a golden ring. Do see a golden ring there in the middle. Let's see if somebody is able to grab it from either of the teams. But yeah, time is winding down, and yellow team is still trailing by a few points, and this lead is not getting closed very quickly. 36 to 38. Red firmly in the lead with 50, comfortably ahead. And now this should be very close to the end there, as it looks like blue just got a golden ring. I think this lead may now be insurmountable unless yellow is able to quickly get some golden rings. And no, we have eliminations there for our players, as that's going to be the end of the first lobby here. All the players are going to make sure to get screenshots of their kudos, jump out of the game, and we're going to see if this second lobby will change things in terms of which players end up qualifying here. And welcome back to me. We're just going to wait a moment for the players to submit their screenshots. And once we do, we are going to get into that next game. So don't go anywhere. We're just going to wait one moment for the lobby to begin. While you're here, I do want to ask, thank you for tuning in and hanging out with me on this fine Tuesday afternoon. We here at TGS run many events, not just Fall Guys. So if you're ever interested, go to our Twitter at Gaming Stadium CS to find out more about the events we run. As here we do wait for the second lobby to start. The player is just going to be loading in shortly as soon as those screenshots are submitted. So we're just going to wait a moment. Hello and welcome back to the TGS Open Series featuring Fall Guys. My name is Zapgaze, and once again, I'm going to be your host for today. We are just loading into the second lobby of this first round of the group stage as we see Dabs, Essence, Juice X, and Agent KLM loading in here. I can tell you from what I'm getting of the score submissions so far after the first game, Dabs, Essence, and Agent KLM are all tied at 335 points. Juice X trailing behind at 300. So still absolutely anybody's game. And I think this is going to come down to which player is able to take the crown here in this third game as we see the players loading in to dizzying heights. Again, this is one of those first maps where the players not very worried about elimination. The big deal here is going to be who can finish this race ahead and perhaps secure that small boost in kudos. With everything being so close, all the players tied at 335, every placement is going to matter in these races as we see perfect dive under the first ball, perfect dive under the second ball here for Essence. So certainly a nice lead ahead. On the other side, Dabs also almost catching up from that right side. So certainly the players neck to neck here, we do see a Yeetus up ahead. So if they're able to execute a good boost from that, that should be able to get them to the finish line and in a position where, oh, perfect boost. This is going to be a pretty comfortable first place for Essence here as we see Dabs getting caught in the field of balls there and maybe falling a little further behind. Third place finish for Dabs. So certainly still within that top 20%, but not the first place finish that would be coveted. Looks like the entire team has passed the finish line at this point. So pretty comfortable for all players involved, but really big from Essence to get that perfect run through the course and get that first place finish in the race. Yeah, top 20% finish there for Dabs, but Essence the big winner there with that first place medal. Players waiting to see the second map. Ideally for the players, they would like to maybe see some elimination survival courses where it gives them the opportunity to try to sabotage some of the other players, push them off the crack, and perhaps get themselves a more comfortable position rather than worry about getting to that final map with all four players alive and risk losing their position because of the crown. All right, Tundra Run here is going to be our second map. This is one of the race courses that was introduced in season 3. Not too complicated of a course, a few positions where you can certainly get ahead of the other players. One of those being that wind turbine boost there in the middle of the map. If you are able to get a nice position boost from that, you can certainly push yourself further ahead. So here we will see how our players are able to get there to the end of the map. Dabs taking a bit of an early lead, the astronaut there right behind, and Essence right behind him as well. So certainly neck to neck here as our three players seem to be leading the charge. Right behind them is that pirate, and Dabs actually opting not to go through the ice field in the middle. Smart choice as we see Essence getting caught up. Dabs actually going through the right and on the bottom, now leading everybody. Solid boost, manages to get themselves stuck, but Essence actually gets the bigger boost through the air and over. And once again, Essence is in the lead here, going into the final part of Tundra Run. Needs to get these trampoline bounces perfect and a second first place finish for Essence. Dabs misses a little, waits for that big roller to move out of the way, and still great finish for them. Another top 20%, but this has been Essence's run so far, getting first place finishes in both of the race courses we've seen so far. So great finishes from all the players, but right now it looks like it's Essence that is really closing that gap and pushing themselves, I guess, widening that gap and pushing themselves further in the lead here as we wait for this race map to finish and see what the third course is. 31-30. qualified here as we go into the third map. And again, this is the time where we are more likely to see a potential team game, see a potential elimination. So for all the players, especially the ones that are behind, this is what really matters. At this point, Essence is pretty comfortably ahead of the pack given those two first place finishes. So he would love to see some eliminations, and Block Party is certainly a game that could result in eliminations. All of these players, again, very experienced, so it will likely not take the risks that will involve putting them in danger. But there is some opportunity here to sabotage the other players and try to get them off the course, which can end up being really helpful for the players that are trying to secure those top two spots here. All right, here we see the early blocks really not that much of a concern. Block Party is a map that tends to ramp up as time winds down. Most patterns on this map are memorized at this point by the players, so there shouldn't be anything coming up that will catch anyone by surprise. And it's really the last 30 seconds or so where things can get hectic, problematic. Perhaps you get caught, tripped up, and just swept off the map. We did see a few bits of random pushing there from players that are not actually in the party, so certainly some risk of maybe an overly aggressive random player grabbing you and tripping you at just the wrong moment, getting you off the map. But so far, all of our players look to be comfortable as we see the Pirate actually playing very far up ahead, really playing it in a bit of a riskier manner. But the benefit of being up at the front of the map is you can't really get caught up in a cascade of other people tripping, which can happen if you're further behind. If somebody trips, gets caught on the blocks, and then they run into you, it's a really easy way to get accidentally swept off the mat. So we do see a lot of our players opting to stick further up to the front as we are now in the end of Block Party. These are the waves where players can get eliminated. This is where things can get very messy and grabby. All of our players so far doing great. Somebody almost getting pushed off the front there, so a bit risky as we see Essence getting caught in the mix, but no, it looks like all four players fortunately qualified, and we'll see what the numbers look like. Maps like Block Party can go either way. Sometimes they eliminate a ton of people, sometimes they eliminate almost nobody. Here, a solid 14 eliminations, so we are still in good position. Looks like all four players of the party are here, and with 16, not very likely to see a final map here, likely one more before we get there, but it is always possible. All right, this is the same position we found ourselves in the first lobby. The players are in a team game with one map to go before the final lobby. So if they were to get eliminated here, this would be very beneficial for Essence, who likely leading the pack now with those early first place finishes. For the other members of the lobby, really important to get this win and make sure that they can cross to that final map and try to play for the crown. All right, and here we go. Obviously, one thing I will mention is seeding matters in the group. First place versus second place in terms of points will determine where you end up in that upper or lower bracket, depending on how you end up finishing. And that will affect your opponents in the upcoming round. So, certainly a lot to still play for, even for the two players that will be making it ahead. As we see the blue team taking an early lead there. Great goal. And now it's a matter of trying to extend that lead, making sure that they don't get scored on, which is why we see Dabs really playing defensively in the back here, allowing some of the other players on the team to take that offense, try to get those goals, players like Essence. And Dabs saying that I'm just going to stay back here, make sure we don't get scored on, put ourselves in a position where we can maybe play for that crown. All right. Excellent positioning there from Essence. Just try to get ahead of that ball, but a bit dangerous now as both balls are actually in the blue side of the field, trying to put some offensive pressure on the blue team, but fortunately able to mitigate that. Great shot by Essence. That's the second goal for the blue team, and now starting to get comfortable. We do see Essence positioning himself in the middle of the map, trying to get that bounce hit at the start from the ball dropping. One of the more aggressive strategies available in fall ball. Doesn't actually get it off, but fortunately Dabs is players ready on the backside of the field to play that defense and make sure that they don't get scored on, make sure they don't go into that riskier position where they're only ahead by one, as it looks like that is going to be a third goal for the blue team, and now they're feeling quite comfortable. This is a lead they, as long as the players play smart, as long as we do see some defense here on the back of the field, now with four, this is not going to happen. So from this point on, it doesn't really matter what medal they get, whether it's the bronze, the silver, or the gold. All the players will be earning the same kudos for this map. So they're just glad to have made it across. And now with the field getting halved once more, this is when we're very likely to see a final map. And for the players here, this is going to be the biggest opportunity to try to lock up that next round finish. With all the players being so close going into this map, and roll off, this is one of the most hectic final maps, one of the newest introduced actually in season 3. So plenty of opportunity for a player to get knocked off here, get sabotaged by one of the other players, and taking the crown here would guarantee you a spot into round 2 of the upper bracket. So certainly all the players going to be looking to try to get those sabotages and make sure that one of the other players is not able to get that crown. Ooh, bit of a dangerous positioning there from Dabs and Essence, bit close to the edge. We do see a third party getting involved here in the attempts at sabotaging. A bit of a divide happening as the other two players are separated on their own. So we'll see if anybody is able to get that push off. But part of the trouble with roll off is it speeds up a lot faster than the non-final version of the map rollout. So things are going to get hectic. That slime is rising, so the amount of space that the players will have to navigate and maneuver will quickly shrink and diminish. And so far, nobody really eliminated. A lot of the players making sure to play it safe. Essence looks like actually getting dragged off. That is massive for the person who was in the lead for the lobby. We are down to 3, and now this is a great time for any of the other 3 players to try to get that win. Again, getting the crown here would guarantee you a spot into the next round of the upper bracket. So nobody really wanting to risk it here. We do see Essence spectating our pirate now. So once again, we're back on that 2 perspective view, and we'll see if these players can survive. The pirate getting some space to themselves. Ooh, looked like a bit of desync there, but fortunately they were safe on their screen. Bit dangerous on Dabs' screen. Oh, dangerous positioning. Will Dabs get the push? No, Dabs gets pushed off instead, and the pirate is gone. We are down to the astronaut, and this is the last remaining member of this squad. If the astronaut is able to get the win here, oh, can they survive? Nice recovery, almost gets pushed off, and they're gone. We are down to 2 players, neither of them from our lobby, as we see the crown being played for, but this is going to be neck and neck. This is really fortunate for Essence, who was our first eliminated player. If one of the players in the lobby was able to get that crown, that would have been disaster for Essence, as he would no longer have been able to secure that number 1 spot. But as it is, I think Essence is going to be leading this lobby going into the next round. All right, welcome back. We are just going to let the players finish up their lobbies, report the screenshots. Once we have all the scores, we're going to tally them up, and we're going to figure out what our upper bracket looks like. I'm going to send you guys off to a short break. Don't go anywhere. When we're back, we'll be back with the upper bracket of this TGS Open Series featuring Fall Guys. Hello and welcome back to the TGS Open Series featuring Fall Guys. My name is Zapgaze and I'm going to be your host for today. We are into the first round of the upper bracket. We have just seen a very exciting tiebreaker there, a win from Dabs in very impressive fashion on Tundra Run, and now we are into where the matches get pretty savage. In this lobby, we have our first and second seeds of the tournament. We have Trip Hop, who has an insane lifetime 2,900 crowns, which is just unimaginable for me. I don't know about you guys watching. We have Professor X right behind him with 2,100 100 total crowns. So both of these players just absolute behemoths when it comes to the game. Rounding out the lobby, we do have Dabs, once again, our previous TGS Open Series champion, and somebody who we just saw pull off an insane win there in that tiebreaker. And we have Triple A. So for this round, we are going to be watching Professor X and Triple A's point of views. We're just waiting for the players. They are in the lobby, so they will be loading in momentarily. There they are. And we are going to see in this stacked upper bracket lobby which two players are going to be moving on to that upper finals and which two will have to battle through the lower bracket. We do see the show populating there, 40 out of 60, so it may be a bit of a smaller lobby. Nope, looks like we will have the full lobby getting together. So this is going to be pretty exciting to watch. Whirligig, this is a lot of players' favorite first map, actually. Part of it because there's plenty of opportunities to really get good movement to get ahead of your opponents. Lots of places where just slight optimizations can pull ahead. So this is a map that a lot of players have always applauded for just being a great, well-designed first map. And I think in this type of format where every placement in the early races matters, we're going to see the players be quite happy to get this type of map to open. We do see AAA there as the milkshake. We see Professor X in the new barbarian outfit, as it were. A nice little boost there from the spinners while Professor gets stuck. So, getting a bit stuck on the wall there. So both players falling a bit behind of the pack. And yes, there are still going to be opportunities to pull back ahead, but certainly not maybe getting that first place kudos finish that they would like, as there will be plenty of players to get ahead of them. All right, Professor's still trying to get that boost, taking this nice and slow as we do see a few hits here. And there we go. Looks like finally through, and now it's going to be a bit of catching up. We'll get the double jump there. On the other side, just soaring through for AAA, no problems, as we actually see one person in our group getting that first place finish. I would guess that would be Trip Hop, our tournament first seed there. Professor still trying to catch up. AAA getting that finish as well. If I had to guess, I would say that was probably top 20%. The third member of the lobby just got there, and 10 people done. So definitely top 20% there for our first three players. Unfortunately for Professor, looks like we'll have to settle for a top 50% finish here. Or actually, no, just a last minute finish. So not a great first Whirligig. Didn't get that early boost that they wanted, but these early maps are not going to be the ultimate difference maker. At least they shouldn't be if the players end up getting crowns, which we expect them to in a lobby of this caliber. However, we did see it come down to a tiebreaker in that last round. So anything is possible. And if Professor X finds himself in that situation, he's going to be quite disappointed to have gotten this early last minute finish that just earns him a little bit less kudos than the other players. We're down to 43 here for the second lobby. Most likely another race map here, although team games are possible on the second round, but it's going to be Tundra Run. We saw what Dabs was capable of on this map in that tiebreaker. We'll see if he can use this opportunity to pull ahead of the other players in the lobby, or if we're going to see Professor X make a bit of a comeback after that disappointing first round Whirligig. All right, here we go. Back of the pack for Professor AAA right at the front. So both players off to the races. We have the blueberries coming down. No hit there on AAA. Dodges it very nicely, going around, followed pretty closely by Trip Hop and Professor right behind them as well. Trip Hop actually going around, but AAA and Professor choosing to go down the middle. AAA gets tripped up by the punchers, but Professor dodges them very nicely. Beautiful boost for both players there, everybody making it all the way across, and now it's just going to be getting around this final fan as we do see Trip Hop and Professor going through. Trip Hop once again first place finish, second for Professor, third for AAA. So this lobby absolutely crushing it, and there's our last player getting across. So we have all four players qualified before anyone else is even close there. I would guess they got the first four finishes. So real dominance being shown by our players here on this Tundra Run map. Really, again, a map that was introduced in Season 3, so certainly been played less than some of the other openers like the Whirligig, but in the short time that they've been playing it, a lot of players have seemed to develop a mastery of this map. So really cool to see just the consistent performances there. Even getting that one wind boost jump there in the middle of the map, which can be quite difficult for a lot of lower skilled players. These players just crush it every time, and really cool to see as we've got 31 players going to the third game. And this is where things get dangerous. This is where we might start seeing some eliminations, and that is not something any of these players would like to see. And speaking of eliminations, it's Slime Climb. Slime Climb, a lot of players' favorite maps in the game. This is a map where there's usually very little room for RNG. There is a lot of time and opportunity to outskill the other players, and most skilled players should never really get eliminated on Slime Climb. There are certainly variations that can go wrong, as we see Professor almost get knocked into one of those trampolines that could have been disastrous for them. Fortunately, makes a great recovery, as instead they are pretty far ahead right now, leading the pack. The variation of Slime Climb that we are actually on does have that big roller at the very end of the map, which can end up causing players some trouble. Players of this caliber should be able to get around it, but certainly if there is a chance for something to go wrong, it will be on that last bit of the course, as Professor solidly ahead of everyone here, really just maneuvering all these obstacles masterfully, trying to get that first place finish here, as even though this is an elimination map, first place would still get them more kudos, and an easy first place finish for Professor X, as we do now watch our next player. Again, pretty sure that's Trip Hop, but not 100%, taking their time on the finish line for a moment, but finally getting across. Now we are watching AAA struggling a bit there near the back of the pack as the slime is catching up, and we do actually see, looks like probably Dabs trying to make their way across, but needs to time this roller well, make sure not to get knocked down. All right, gets that final jump across, and now it's all down to AAA. Can they get past this roller? A bit slow, just gets clipped, but fortunately not enough to get knocked down. And with 6 going through, all 4 of our players have made it. So a bit of a breather there. All players getting across, not getting knocked down by that roller as the slime comes up. And this is where things can get exciting. Slime Climb can really result in games getting cut down short, as we've only got 6 players making it across. We have a few more waiting on that side of the finish line. So likely to be around 10 to 12 players making it through here. But the slime is catching up fast, and we could just move directly into a final round here from this third round Slime Climb. So we'll see if these players finish. 10 seconds left. Slime catching up. That player's gone. This one's making it across, and it looks like we're going to have 10 here going into the next round. Now, will 10 lead to a final map? 37 getting cut down. Looks like just 10 making it there, and this could be the final map here. Really exciting for our players if it is, as that would mean all 4 of them are in contention of the crown. It could still be anyone's game here in this first map, and it's actually not a final. We're going to have another race. It's Freezy Peak, and Freezy Peak starting with 10 players means there's very little room for error. You're going to need to have almost perfect movement here to make it to that finish line, to be in the top 6 players that qualify. Just over half here, and that means it is really requiring all the players to be near flawless here to make it, as we see some movement from Professor X trying to just dodge those trampolines, make sure they're not getting caught in them, and great there on the other side. AAA still trying to make it up the ramp. There we go, we get the jump, and nice little easy pathing from the win there, making it easily across without getting caught in snowballs. AAA more in the middle of the pack, but here for Professor and our other Barbarian really at the lead here, not risking it with the trampolines, not risking it with the punches as we see a cheeky little grab trying to make me sabotage the Professor here, but really no problems for him making it across up the 3 layers there. Very easy up the boost and a first place finish for Professor. The AAA still in the middle of the pack there. Again, only 6 qualify. That's 4 people ahead of him right now. Hey, I don't know how many people were up there, but this is not going to make it for AAA. AAA is eliminated, unfortunately. Just 1 person short. And when I say your movement needs to be perfect on Freezy Peak with only 6 players making it through, I mean it. Our other 3 players are through. Half of the finals lobby is going to be from the players in this group. But unfortunately for AAA, he will not be one of them. And he will have to really get things together for the next game if he wants to have a shot at making it through to the upper finals here. Ooh, and Royal Fumble. This is going to be a chaotic one. This is not something that players like to play for a final map. It's small, there's very few people, and you really need to try to have excellent movement to dodge the other players and hold on to that tail, as if you get caught in a scrum near the end of the time, it can just be a mad fumble, as the name of the map says, to try to hold on to that tail, grab it at the last second as time runs out before someone else is able to grab it back. Professor once again taking it, but we do see there the Viking cutting him off, taking that tail. The other Barbarian Princess trying to wait out and maybe get great positioning, steals the tail over there as now trying to get away from the Viking. All of our players really more or less ignoring the other players in this lobby, even though if one of them ends up with the tail, it's disastrous for everyone in the lobby. So we really want to make sure to hold on to that tail, as once again the Barbarian Princess holding onto that tail, but 2 people waiting for them, trying to get that tail away. So this is pretty dangerous territory. Professor trying to cut them off, grabs the tail, 30 seconds left, loses it to the random being, gets it back, and this is just getting down to the wire. 27 left. The Viking trying to cut him off. Excellent jump movement. Jukes 3 people. Oh, the Dark Knight grabs the tail and stolen by the Viking. Oh, look at these jumps. This is awesome. Professor gets the tail. 14 seconds left. Loses it again. 10 seconds. The Dark Knight has it. The Viking has it. 9, 8. The tail is on the horse. This is chaotic. This is the scrum nobody wants to get caught in. The horse has the tail. 3, 2, 1. Can he run away with it? He's got it. The tail goes to the horse, and none of our players end up getting it. So really disastrous Royal Fumble there for the 3 players in our lobby. And that's kind of how the map goes. This is why a lot of players do not like Royal Fumble as a final map, because all of the efforts that you put into having that tail for the first minute can kind of get washed away in those last 20 to 30 seconds where everything is chaotic. All the people are in a scrum and you're just furiously trying to grab the tail. And as soon as you get it, you have to try to run away, because if you don't, someone else will grab it back and the cycle repeats itself. So I am out of breath. Insane finish to that map. And unfortunately for all of our players, no crown, but this is a big win for AAA, who was not in that final map. They don't have the kudos that the other players got for being there, but at least they don't have to try to close the lead against the crown. So all things considered, AAA pretty grateful about how that went down. All the other players disappointed that they did not walk away with a crown, as we do see the points coming in. So after that first map, Trip Hop getting 545 points, Professor X 510, Dabs' score just being updated, but I believe will likely be the same. And then AAA falling behind with 370 points. So still quite close between the top three players, but Trip Hop certainly getting that little bit of extra points thanks to those great early finishes in those maps, as the players will be loading in for the second game pretty shortly, and we'll see how long that's going to take to see if we're going to need to go to a break or not. So just bear with me one moment while we confirm if we're going to have a second lobby soon. Hello and welcome back to the TGS Open Series featuring Fall Guys. My name is Zapgaze and I am your host for today. We are in the upper semis of this double elimination bracket. 16 players came in, 8 in the upper bracket, and this is the second game of this round, the second and final game, unless there's any tiebreakers. And I believe we have Triple A in the milkshake costume. We have Professor X as the barbarian, Trip Hop as the barbarian princess, and Dabs as the Viking. These players are loading in, and our first map is going to be DoorDash. This is a map players detest playing when it comes to tournaments. There are a lot of random elements, and if you get caught up on the wrong door, if you get a series of unlucky breaks, you could just be eliminated on the first map. And especially for a player like AAA who is not leading the pack right now, that could be disastrous as we see the players getting off to the races. AAA, nice early door. The first round of doors, always there's a lot that make it through. Bits stuck on the second, but no problem here. It's really on the fourth round of doors where things can get problematic, as now, oh my god, getting tripped up there for both Professor and Triple A, trying to make it over the column, but okay, trying to recover here as this could be disastrous, trying to get a nice little boost up and see if maybe they can try to get themselves... Ooh. Oh, wow, look at that. AAA actually going off the map. Excellent positioning. I have never seen that before, and actually gets boosted all the way to the final, and AAA looks to be getting the finish here. Dabs as the wizard now also finishing. Professor finishes. All of our players making it across, but it looks like a lot of last-minute finishes there for the players, so... Ooh, that was a tight start to this, but I believe all four players have at least qualified, so not the worst start for our players, but certainly would prefer a more early finish. At least it looked like all four players finished, but as we go into this next game, I'm going to keep an eye out because I didn't see 4 red arrows, so if one of the players actually got eliminated there, that would be huge for the implications of where this lobby ends up. I do know both Triple A and Professor made it, but if somebody like Trip Hop didn't make it, for example, that would just be disastrous, as we are right down to egg seats. So nice little comfortable team game here. Even if everybody is eliminated, this is only going to be really bad for AAA as they are behind everybody else here. For somebody like Trip Hop, who is ahead of the pack, this would actually be perfect if everybody was eliminated, as looking at this lobby, I only see 3. I don't see AAA. I don't see Trip Hop. All right, there's a mad scramble for the eggs. I'll try to figure out later if Trip Hop was actually eliminated here, but so far I only see 3, and Red Team trying to get one of those early golden eggs. Looks like they've already got one, so now the name of the game for the Red Team is going to be try to hold on. AAA try to secure the second one. Beautiful toss into the pit, and now really the Red Team can just retreat into the pit and play defense. They don't want to have these eggs stolen, making sure to get them in the corner, so if somebody gets into their pit to try to steal them, they're going to have to work for it. And you see Triple A, the players are really working together here. Triple A putting the eggs at the back of the pit, and Professor standing at the top of one end of the ramp, Dab standing on the other side. This is a 3-pronged effort from our players here to make sure that they've got all bases covered. Dab's on the right, Professor on the left, Triple A in the middle, and no eggs are making it past this crew. I feel bad for everybody else playing in this lobby, as you just see the coordinated effort of these players. They do not want to get knocked out here. Trip Hop was the player in the lead, and it looks like Trip Hop is out. If that's the case, this bodes really well for the remaining 3, because Trip Hop will essentially be getting maybe 40 kudos for this entire game, almost nothing for being knocked out round 1, and that means the lead that Trip Hop had is gone. Trip Hop is almost certainly eliminated from this lobby, which means that for these 3 players, they only have their eyes on the other 2 now. This is a pretty at this point, it's really just a matter, it's trivial, right? The red team does have all the eggs. They've got things figured out, so nothing can really go overly wrong here. The yellow team sitting on 1 egg, even if they were able to steal 1, it wouldn't do enough for them. So just masterful showing there on Egg Sieges. Once again, we come to this map. I see 3, but I don't see Trip Hop. I believe Trip Hop was eliminated on DoorDash, and that feels terrible for him as unfortunately our number one seed of the tournament getting hit with that RNG map, not able to get the tail. On the first round, and that means the Trip Hop will be going to the lower bracket as we get Slime Climb here for our third game. We saw how it decimated the ranks of the players last time, eliminating 27 players in one round. This is a much more tame variation. We just see those columns at the end of the map rather than the roller. So this is going to be a lot better for some of the other more random players to qualify. But again, for our players, this is purely a race. They need to be the first one to finish. And we actually see the savagery from AAA there, taking a moment to stop and try to sabotage Professor X, maybe get that grab and push him into the slime at the start of the map before they're able to make that space. When he was unable to do so, now it's off to the races, trying to get that first place finish, trying to get ahead of the other members. Unfortunately, by stopping for that sabotage, he did fall a little behind. So it looks like the first place finish won't be in the books here. Professor trying to get the hammer hop, not able to complete it, going for the second one, jumps right over, and now Professor is in a bit of a lead. I can't tell if there's another player ahead of him. Looks like there may not be, and if that's the case, Professor really setting himself up for a great first place finish here. Again, the end of this course, ooh, really close there. Could have maybe gotten knocked out, but fortunately fixes his position. Just a slight adjustment there at the end. And yeah, Professor getting that first place finish. Triple A with Dabs just behind him. Oh, really dangerous getting caught up there for Triple A, and that may push Dabs ahead. Triple A, oh, look at these columns. This is really tight. I say players should get knocked out here, but Dabs actually knocked out, and Triple A, I guess just sticking around to try to get that sabotage ends up working out for him as Dabs, with a little bit of panic and maybe help from these columns, maybe help from the other players, gets knocked out. So this is now massive, as with both Dabs and Trip Hop knocked out, if AAA is able to close this gap between him and Dabs from the previous game, AAA can actually move ahead even though he wasn't in the finals of the first game. Looks like we're down to one, maybe two players here. This is going to be 7 players. So we are once again moving directly to a finals here, but this time only 2 players remain. Triple A and Professor X. Dabs getting knocked out at the last moment there, thanks to maybe a bit of sabotage from Triple A. So great play from him, trying to set himself up in a position where he can try to steal this lobby, even though he fell behind after that first game. And Jump Showdown. This is really going to show a test of endurance from the players. We've seen Professor X on Jump Showdown in previous TGS Open Series, and he has looked unstoppable. We saw the one Jump Showdown between him and Triumph where they basically just traded sets, sabotaging the other, trying to get them off. And the one map where we saw them on opposite sides of the courses, both of them just going for that endurance and trying to live longer than the other, was just masterful to see. So this is really going to come down to, can Triple A get the grab on Professor and try to get this crown, or can Professor just continue being dominant on this map? A bit of a risky strategy here for AAA, actually coming to this side and actually forces himself to have to make the transition back, as otherwise he would have got stranded and potentially eliminated on the left side of the platforms. But you can totally understand the reasoning, because he did not want to be near Professor, somebody who has just been so dominant on Jump Showdown in the past. Again, our second seed in terms of crowns in this tournament, and there is now a divide between Professor and AAA. This is what AAA wanted, but unfortunately it's only a one platform divide, so Professor can definitely still bridge the gap should he feel the need to try to go on the aggressive. Same for AAA, though I would expect in his position he would much rather play this passively and try to survive past Professor. I think something that both these players recognize is, in the odd case that they are able to get a draw on this final map, a draw on Jump Showdown means all players survive for 5 minutes. At that point, the map will just end and all players get the crown. If these two players can get the draw here and not sabotage each other, both of them will be moving on to the next round. That means Dabs and Trip Hop will be moving down to the lower bracket if the players can get the draw here. So certainly something that they may be playing for now that they do have this bracket, this platform divide between them. We see AAA still with another player on his platform. Looks like we're down to 2. This is just going to be a test of endurance unless one player decides to go for the sabotage. And I don't think either of these players are in the market for that. Both of them know that they are pretty safe and secure here. So at this point, just playing it safe, we see Professor getting those cheeky little waves in. Nobody is planning on sabotaging here. And buckle in, folks. We may be here for the full 5 minutes as the players try to survive and get that crown for both of them, securing their spots in the upper finals. Jump Showdown, I think that was one of the biggest improvements added to the map when they added the timer that would essentially, it is an invisible timer. You don't know how close you are, but at the end of 5 minutes, the game will end. All remaining alive players will get a crown. So certainly removing the possibility of it being endless was a great improvement to the game. As again, when you've got this isolated platform to yourself, there's a very low chance of players of this caliber getting caught out randomly. So certainly about as good as a chance as these players have to try to get the crowns. They're down to 2. Nobody's really here trying to sabotage them, and it's just going to be about this endurance and jump movement. And after so many hours in this game, so many crowns won, both of these players should have this movement down. Certainly it is possible to mistime something, get tripped up, maybe just land wrong from a jump and get stunned for that fraction of a second. Once these bars speed up to a certain point, that fraction of a second stun may be enough to get you knocked off. But otherwise, I expect both these players to really endure the full 5 minutes here and get these crowns locked up. And that would mean that from this lobby, we would have Professor X and AAA moving on to the upper finals. And I do have the scores from the other side of the bracket. Paillo or Palillo and Frozen Flash have actually ended up taking the first and second spots in that lobby, thanks to each of them getting a crown in the first and second game. So we do know who the opponents will be when these players make it across to that upper bracket finals. And we will absolutely be watching that match in progress to tell you that where things are headed and who we can expect to see in the grand finals before we make our way to the lower bracket. All right, I would guess that we're about 3.5 minutes in now, so a minute and a half approximately or so more for these players, and that should be locking up the crown. Usually 5 minutes, not something you would imagine as a long amount of time, but when you're in these positions where you're constantly taking actions, it can actually feel like almost an eternity. You keep expecting things to be done, but it just keeps going. So certainly getting close for the players. They know it at this point, but the last thing they want is for them to get complacent, get hit by that bar, and get knocked down. As there it is. I guess I was a bit off on the timing, but crowns for both players. We see that draw, and Professor X and AAA will be moving on to the upper bracket finals of the TGS Open Series featuring Fall Guys. Welcome back. That was pretty cool to see, as some early eliminations. Unfortunate timing for Trip Hop on DoorDash, just not quite getting there, means that we have our upper bracket finals. It is going to be Professor X. It is going to be AAA making a nice recovery in that second game. It's going to be Frozen Flash and Palillo. So we're going to cut to a short break. We're going to get that next lobby set up. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll have the upper bracket finals for you. Hello, and welcome back to the TGS Open Series featuring Fall Guys. My name is Zapgaze. I am your host and caster for today. Thank you so much for joining us on this fine Tuesday afternoon. We are in the upper bracket finals. So after these 2 games, we are going to know who the first 2 players in our grand finals are before we move down to the lower bracket to see which 2 players are going to work way through it work their way through it and join them in the grand finals. Before now, we have an upper bracket finals to figure out. We just saw AAA and Professor X secure their spots thanks to a beautiful jump showdown draw there, getting them the crowns and getting them the finish they need to make it through that match. Joining them are the two players we are going to be watching in this round, Polio and Frozen Flash. So we are going to see the perspective of the other two players for this round. The players should be in the lobby and loading in momentarily, so we will be going down to the match. Looks like we once again have Professor on the Barbarian. We have AAA on the Milkshake, I want to say, but we are this time going to be watching the other Barbarian and the Athlete over there as we will be loading in momentarily. So first map, Night Fever. This was a Season 2 map. It was the big Season 2 opener map that was first introduced. Certainly something that a lot of players enjoy. It's not an overly long race, but there are plenty of opportunities to try to get a bit of a boost ahead and try to get that early finish. The big thing about all of these early race maps, except for that DoorDash, is no real danger of players getting eliminated, which is exactly what players are looking for in these tournament settings. As we see Polio actually going for that Yeetus, doesn't actually get it, but Frozen Flash does. So Frozen Flash off to a bit of an early lead. Polio gets that second attempt, gets the Yeetus, and back into the fold. But Frozen Flash already through the rollers, and just a slight knockoff at the end, has to reset that portion. This is one of the variations that can be a little tricky, but not overly so for players of this caliber. But that big knockoff was enough for Professor X to actually take the lead, with AAA just shortly behind him. And now Frozen Flash is in third. Polio, missing that first Yeetus, is firmly in fourth in the group, as we see the first two players have already finished. There's the finish for Frozen Flash, so it is just down to Polio. We see three players had qualified when we tuned in, so the first three in this game was Professor, AAA, then Frozen Flash, and now Polio getting that 8th place finish. Should still be in the top 20%, so not a big kudos gap between Polio and the other players, but certainly Professor, the big winner here, getting that just extra bit of kudos from that first place. For top 20%, all of Polio, Frozen Flash, and AAA should be getting the same amount. So very tight lobby here after this first map. Just waiting for the other players to finish. This is one of the more annoying variations at the end of Night Fever. Certainly not a problem for our players, but can give some of the more lesser experienced players some trouble when it comes to getting past those uneven platforms at the very end of the map. All right, 43 qualified. We are going into second game. Will we have maybe a team game, or is it going to be the secondary race game that we are so used to at this point? All right, looks like Gate Crash. Gate Crash, certainly one of the less problematic races in the game, not nearly as bad as DoorDash. There are some opportunities for players to get caught up on doors. We saw that happen to Dabs earlier, but for the most part, these players should soar through this course. They know the patterns, they know the timing, so shouldn't give them too much trouble. As we see Frozen Flash and Polio just neck and neck here, as maybe a bit of timing issue there for Polio. Let's Frozen Flash take the lead ahead of the pack. Polio and Professor actually caught up together. We see a little bit of turnaround movement there from Frozen Flash. The big goal there is to try to preserve his momentum. If you stop to a halt when you reach those doors, the momentum it takes you to start walking again can slow you down quite a bit. So just a little bit of walk around movement means that he can preserve that speed to try to make sure he doesn't slow down too much. Looks like all of our players finished, but I'm not sure if anybody actually managed to get that first place finish. It looked like for the most part, everybody was within that top 20%. So a big amount of tied points there when it comes to the gate crash portion of this map. And now, again, we're in dangerous territory. This is where we may start seeing some survival games. We may start seeing some eliminations. I don't think any of the players would complain if they were to get something like slime climb here. And wow, look at this, the third slime climb in a row here on stream. There is no way any of these players are complaining. Not only does it cut down the potential time of games, as we could just go directly to a final lobby after this, but there is slight opportunities for those sabotages. We saw AAA pull off that successful sabotage on Davs in the last round, and that was the difference maker that got AAA into that finals showdown with Professor X and secured his spot here in this upper bracket finals. I see Paleo getting a bit stuck there, as does Frozen Flash. So now a bit behind the pack here, as our other players are pulling ahead, I believe. The slime not quite caught up to them, but a fall now would result in elimination. So certainly not much room for error here for these players, as they are firmly behind the pack when it comes to the slime climb right now. Ooh, nice little jump recovery there, making sure to time it with the platform to get off and back on in between that block. So great movement there from Polio, just trying to make sure that they're not falling too far behind and getting into the position where they could get sabotaged into that slime. We see Frozen Flash actually going around, doesn't quite get the early jumps. Hammer hop there, beautiful from Polio, and movement a bit sped up there, as we see there at the end of the map. Who is it? Well, that's AAA. He is waiting for the sabotage. He is trying to stop these players from making it. He knows that he will not be able to get extra points by going ahead there. So no successful sabotage this time, almost actually loses it for himself. But all four of our players now qualified in the top six there. Professor likely first again, although we did not have his perspective, so we can't say for sure. So all four players making it through to that next round. And this is a pretty, again, tame variation of slime climb. Nothing that should give players too much trouble as the slime is rising, but we do see it reflected in the numbers, as the past two slime climbs we saw 6 and 7 players making it through. This time we've already seen 13, and there is still room for more if these players can get past these balls in the end of the court here. The course, rather, I should say. 16 through. This pineapple looks to be the last person, and 17. So definitely not moving to a finals here, but still a nice amount of eliminations, cutting the field in more or less half. And we still have all four of our players here as we go into the fourth game of this first round. Should be said, Frozen Flash was our third seeded player coming into the day with 1,750 crowns won. So it really no slouch there, and certainly able to hold his own against the likes of Trip Hop or Professor X. So we'll see if that converts to a top two finish here in this upper finals lobby, as we see Frozen Flash actually getting off to a great lead. Excellent movement here on wall, guys. The strategy here is just to try to go through the route from courses where you don't have to climb and pull yourself up as much as possible. Ideally, you are never actually moving a block. You are using the blocks as they are positioned to try to get there. But unfortunately, this height will not be something that Frozen Flash will be able to make. So it looks like is just stuck for the moment. Try to survey his surroundings and see where the line is from here, as we see Professor go for a jump that he's not able to make. And now the players are stuck at a point where everybody else is able to catch up. Failed connection there from Frozen Flash. Polio on the other side, trying to go for a different route. Something to note about wall, guys, is these walls at the end are slowly going to start coming down, so the height will decrease as the map goes on. Somebody moving a platform there for the transition, as we see both Polio and Frozen Flash and AAA actually stuck here and not able to get the jumps. AAA looks like he made it, but both Frozen Flash and Polio do fall, and I believe Professor already made it across. So the players that we saw last round, once again proving successful here in this lobby, as all four going to finish, but certainly not getting that boost in kudos that we're seeing the players like Professor get by getting those first place finishes. Down to 10 players, and this is the fifth game, so realistically, we should be getting a final game here. I think all the players and myself would love to see something like Hexagon. A lot of players still consider it to be their favorite map. I think the community at large has voted it to be their favorite map, and we even see variation maps which are just Hexagon these days. But actually, we're going to see a Hoopsie Legends first. So this can prove problematic, not only because realistically only 6 players are going to make it through here, meaning the value of those golden rings is very high, and there can be quite a lot of variance in spawn, like we see with Frozen Flash coming down right beside the golden ring. Oh, not able to get it, and that is really unfortunate because now that golden ring gets stolen, and Frozen Flash was looking at a very easy qualification, but now with 0 rings and falling behind, this is extremely problematic for Frozen Flash. So another golden ring stolen from in front of AAA. Polio not able to get it in time, but Polio still doing good with the white rings, down to up to 4 points already. Frozen Flash on the other side manages to snipe a golden ring, so up to 5. Just needs 1 more to get that qualification. There we go. Frozen Flash is through. Polio up to 5, just needs 1 more, needs a good spawn. 2 already qualified. Looks like AAA is still wandering around, so I would guess the other person qualified is Professor. AAA looks like they sniped a golden. They're in, and all 4 of our players are through to the final round. As I was saying earlier, as we wait for this final qualification, with 6 people, there is a bigger chance of us getting a problematic final lobby like a Fall Mountain or a Royal Fumble. These are the maps that the players really do not want to see, as there is more room for variance, more room for something to go wrong, and certainly less chances to flex their skills. So if they were to get one of these 2 problematic final lobbies because of the lower amount of players, that is not something the players would like to see. And there it is, Royal Fumble. This map will not be given unless there are 6 or less players in the final lobby, and that's why this number of 6 is so problematic. And now we saw how chaotic this ended last time. This time all 4 of our players are in, and it is all about that tail. One person wants it, and they will have to hold on, as Polio gets the early steal from AAA, trying to make it away from the other players, going on the roundabout, and now they're all just going to chill. They know that time doesn't matter for the first minute or so of the map. It is all about that last 30 seconds. So they're not going to waste their time. They're not going to waste their energy. They're going to just hang out for a bit and hold on to that tail. All 6 players actually showing some respect here. They all realize that this is not about the time at the moment. We're going to see this timer wind down. We're actually going to maybe go to a single player's view for a moment to see this timer and see at what point the player's 45 seconds left is the time when they actually start playing. We'll see everyone else leave that center platform at around 30 seconds likely. That is when we'll go back to the 2-player view, and this is it. This is the last 30 seconds. We're off to the races. Let's see who can end up with the tail. It's a random. Polio takes it back, trying to run away with it. On his tail is Frozen Flash, trying to round that corner. Excellent juke, going over top of 3 people, holding onto that tail. Things are getting tricky, likely down to around 15 seconds. Is anybody ahead of him? Frozen Flash trying to round the corner, not able to get it. Ooh, tail stolen. A little bit of decent. Professor has it. Can he make it down the ramp? Ooh, just gets held. Tail stolen by Polio. He's got it. I think we're down to 6, 5. We're really close. Oh, the ice cream, the ice cream, the ice cream. The ice cream holds on to the tail, and neither player, none of the 4 players in our lobby are able to get it. Just a little bit of crazy jumping there from the ice cream, stealing the tail at the last moment with 3 seconds to go and just holding on to it, getting that leap off the platform, and really heartbreaking finish for all 4 of our players, as holding on to that tail would have meant almost guaranteed a spot in that grand finals. And now we're going to have a really close scrum when it comes to who is going to be eliminated and who is going to make it. While we tally those points, we're going to send you off to a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back as soon as we can with the second game of this upper bracket finals. Welcome back to the TGS Open Series featuring Fall Guys. We are going right into it. The players are already into the first map. It is once again Gate Crash. This is game 2 of the upper bracket finals. We just saw a heartbreaker of a Royal Fumble there in that last game. So we now have Professor X at 790 points leading this lobby. Frozen Flash in second with 615. Polio in third with 545. AAA in fourth with 510. So still anybody's game as we see Frozen Flash going that left route with Professor, Polio and AAA going this right route, and Professor once again leading here in Gate Crash. Frozen Flash gets caught out a bit, but it looks like Professor is going to soar to an easy first place finish. Frozen Flash following up maybe third, but it doesn't really matter. Top 20% at this point. Polio also gets it, and looks like so does AAA. So should be a repeat of last round in top 20% for everyone and the first place for Professor. Again, not the biggest deal, but as we see reflected in those final scores from the first round, if no players get the crown, it's really going to come down to those slight differences in who wins those races. And Professor just showing dominance. I believe they got first in every single race and survival course in the round before up until the finals. And we see that reflected in the kudos. He's got 180 points on the next place finisher in Frozen Flash. All right, big fans. This is a map that was introduced in Season 2 in the mid-season update. It is one of those race maps at the start. It's a large map, and a lot of newer players and less experienced players can struggle with this. It does require some very precise movement, but for the more experienced players, this is a really fun map because it allows you to have good movement and get rewarded for getting across there faster. So should be a pretty easy race win for at least one of our players, but the question is who, as we see great movement there from Polio. Actually, this is a bit of a tricky movement that we see more experienced players use by trying to trigger that checkpoint on the next platform, but then fall off. They actually spawn themselves at the end of the platform, saving themselves quite a bit of movement. So that's why we see Polio twice now trying to trigger that checkpoint that we see from the flashing animation, but then fall off and get that later spawn. So really great movement from Polio. Unfortunately for him, Professor X right behind him and actually is able to overtake him to get once again another race victory. Professor X just showing absolute dominance when it comes to these race maps. Polio second place, but unfortunately second place is just top 20%. There is no second place bonus for kudos. You are now in the mix, and same with Flash Frozen. Once you're in, or Frozen Flash, I should say, once you're in that top 20%, it doesn't really matter. You're no longer getting the bonus kudos from first place. So Professor X really just showing mastery here, as this is going to be, I believe, a top 25%, which is actually top 50% there for AAA. So falling a bit behind, not the optimal movement that you would like or expect from a player of his caliber here in big fans, and will result in him falling a bit behind in kudos. Again, looking at the standings, AAA is already behind the pack, 510 points. The next closest player is Polio with 545. So AAA really needs these race victories unless he's able to secure a crown, which is going to be pretty difficult in this lobby. So all of these races will matter, and so far he's just been slightly short in all of them. And you definitely see some of the less experienced players struggling on this map. Part of it is absolutely because of impatience. You do want to go through the map as quickly as possible. You see the other players, the number of qualified is going up continuously. So you don't want to be falling behind, but that leads you to have some impatience. Maybe go for jumps or walks that you're not quite confident in making, you're not quite stable in making. And every time you fall off, you get reset to that last checkpoint. And that can be so problematic for these players, as there's only 3 spots left. We do see 2 players already on that final platform, so there's room for only one more person, as this little blue bean that we are watching is struggling quite a lot. One other added hurdle for these maps is there is a time limit, as we see that 14 seconds pop up. So at the end of that time, regardless of how many people are through, the map will end, and it looks like we have our 3, so time limit won't kick into place here. But fortunately for the little blue bean, he's actually able to finish it and get across to make it into the next round. All right, 4 players in, 29 qualified. Professor X firmly leading this lobby, but it is going to come down to the crown. Whoever wins the crown on this round will absolutely make it into the grand finals, and the other will be relying on those kudos from the previous rounds to get them there. So Professor X in the best spot, but now with tail tag. This is not a final map. There's more than one tail, more than one player is making it across, but this is still quite hectic. A lot of your performance on this map depends on the amount of time that you hold on to a tail. So these players will want to keep the tail as long as humanly possible and not lose it, as we see Polio with the early movement. Again, Fall Guys is a game where speed and momentum matters. If you slow down, if you stop at any point, having to speed up again can prove problematic. So we see Polio aims to always be moving just to make sure they're not getting caught in a position where they slow down and somebody can catch them. The name of the game at the end is holding on to the tail as long as possible, and you need to be holding on to it when the map ends or you will be eliminated. If we switch to a single player perspective, I think that will give us a better point of view of how much time is left, 45 seconds. So that is really going to be the decider. We'll move back to that double player view when there's around 20 seconds left, just so we can see both players. But at the moment, what matters is how is this time winding down? You do see there is now the log of who is grabbing tails, who is losing tails. And fortunately for Polio, he's held on to a tail the entire time. He has not lost his tail a single time. Back to the 2 player view. Polio gets locked down, but still has his tail. Should be around 15 seconds. Time winding down. Frozen Flash also has a tail. Looks like Triple A does as well. No eyes on Professor at the moment, but assumedly a player of his caliber has a tail. Looks like he does. He's running with it. Polio going for holding onto the tail the whole time, getting that gold, and that is the boost of kudos that he needed. Let's see if all 4 of our players were able to make it as we come to this elimination screen. We see Triple A in the top left corner. He's in. We see Professor. He's in. And we see Frozen Flash. He's in. So all 4 players holding onto their tails. Excellent showing. But really, Polio, the big winner there, able to keep his tail the entire round and getting that gold finish for maximum kudos on that round. All right, map 4, Freezy Peak. Once again, this is one of those race maps where, depending on the total number of people qualified, there is very little room for error. Race maps at the start of any given Fall Guys round can be fine, but race rounds when only 8 people make it are hectic, and this is what this Freezy Peak is going to be. We need perfect movement from the players. We see Polio navigating those punches really well, trying to get through this fan. Perfect, now up, and looks like Polio is off to an early lead. He is going to need this movement. He wants this first place finish. He wants this qualification. Right behind him, we see Professor and Frozen Flash. A little stumble from Polio means that everybody is caught up, and all 4 of our players are in a clump now. We'll see if any player tries to go for a sabotage. Frozen Flash goes for a dive, doesn't actually get knocked off the map, but it's slowed down a bit. So now behind the pack, but fortunately, because of the tricky movement here on Freezy Peak, there is plenty of opportunity to catch up as Polio and Professor X neck and neck here, trying to get that first place finish. Professor pulls ahead. Unfortunate stumble from Polio. He needed those first place kudos and isn't able to get them. Does get the qualification. Looks like all 4 players are going to qualify. Triple A does make it this time, where he fell short last time by 1 spot. Somebody did try to grab him, but fortunately, Triple A makes it through for the finish, and really unfortunate for Polio as Professor X steals that spot in the last moment, getting that first place finish. And again, Polio needed those kudos, and this is going to be a tough final round to see who can take the crown. As given the boost of kudos that he has, even if he doesn't get the crown, he should be moving on to the finals. However, he certainly does want to get that crown and make the scramble between the other players. And Hexagon, finally, this is the map everyone loves. We're going to see some jumping movement. We're going to see some grabs and some patience, and we're going to see how these talented players approach this map, as off to some good jumping start at the beginning from Polio. Unfortunately, losing some platforms, still able to transition position and get the best of Professor there means that he actually has a bit of space here on this top level. Professor already down, AAA staying up top with him, Frozen Flash down to the second level as well, AAA now down to the third level. So these early levels can really determine how the rest of the map goes, because if you're able to secure yourself a spot on a level all alone and multiple people fall down below, that gives you full free reign to start doing those slow individual jumps. And if you can do that, as we see Polio trying to block off some people and maybe secure the spot for himself, ooh, very close, but still manages to hold on. If you're able to get a level all for yourself and start doing those slow individual jumps, that advantage can cascade as the other people will continue scrambling against each other and clearing off platforms below you. And suddenly you'll find yourself in a strategic vantage point where you can see multiple levels below and plan out what positioning you want to fall down to, as we see Polio again keeping a spot at the top, now joining AAA and Professor on that next level. And unfortunately for Frozen Flash, already one further level down. So only one level away from the slime now, as the next level of blue is the final one before the slime. Polio holding this top spot, trying to get those individual jumps, but unfortunately the time spent up there couldn't find a good vantage point to fall down onto. And now it looks like AAA may be the last person on that level above, and depending on how much space he has, that could be huge. It looks like somebody just went off the map, but Frozen Flash and Polio are still on. AAA could still be on that top level. We can't see for sure. We're looking for Professor. We're looking for AAA. Can't find him. All right, AAA now down on this bottom level as well. Professor just fell down. That was almost disastrous. Oh, great transition there from Polio and Frozen Flash, able to make it, fighting for position. And there goes Frozen Flash. AAA will be next. They had very little to work with. And it looks like Polio, still alive, going to transition onto these platforms. Is he the last one left? No, Professor is still in. Oh, Polio down, and Professor will get the win. Look at this. Just absolute dominance from Professor X, was leading in kudos that entire time, continues getting win after win, and unfortunately for Polio, was so close to that crown, just one person standing in his way, but it was the end boss. And we are going to get the screenshots coming in from the players. We're going to tell you the points. We're going to see if Polio's performance in that round was enough to get him the boost he needed to overtake Frozen Flash, or whether Frozen Flash will maintain the lead he had to take second place in this lobby. We're going to once again send you to a quick break. When we come back, we are moving down to the lower bracket. I'm going to tell you who moves on to join Professor X in the grand finals, and then we'll be watching the lower bracket to see who is going to fight through it to join the grand finals along with the players we just watched. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back shortly. Hello and welcome back to the TGS Open Series featuring Fall Guys. My name is Zapgaze and I'm your host for today. We are down to the lower bracket semis. There are 8 people currently left in the tournament. We have Professor X and Polio waiting in the grand finals. We have Frozen Flash and AAA waiting in the lower bracket finals. And now we are going to watch the lower bracket semis. We have Adagi Swag, we have Joakulk, we have Stratosphere, and we have 8. We are going to be watching Stratosphere and 8 for these 2 games. So we are going down to the lobby momentarily. The players should just be loading in now, so we will go there and see who is going to make it through this lower bracket semis to the lower bracket finals to face off against Frozen Flash and AAA. We have the banana costume from my friend Pedro, we've got a ninja, we've got a big bad wolf, and we have a ogre orc thing. And Night Fever is the first map of choice. We just saw Frozen Flash have a bit of a stumble here, and unfortunately that was enough to knock him out down to this lower bracket. Not a big variation here. We do see those bumpers at the very end, but no big deal. And here we go. We have 8 on what looks to be the orc. We have Stratosphere on the big bad wolf, and 8 off to a bit of a lead here, getting through those guillotines very nicely, going around these rollers. Can he make it through? No problem easy for the experienced veteran. 8 coming in here with 800 crowns, so plenty of experience under his belt, and gets stumbled up a bit there. That may end up costing him the first place finish, but certainly still going to qualify. A fall there definitely costing him the first place finish, and looks like Stratosphere on the big bad is going to be the player making it through here. Notably, looking through the results of the past rounds, Stratosphere is actually the only player to have gotten a double crown. Stratosphere got the crown in both. Actually, no, that's not true. The only two players in this tournament are Polio in the very first round and Stratosphere in the lower bracket. So certainly looking to maybe get a few more crowns under his belt and work his way to that lower bracket finals here. All of our players now qualified, everybody making it with Stratosphere, getting that first place finish. So just rounding out the last few spots here in this Night Fever before we move on to a second map. Exciting things to look forward to on the horizon as Fall Guys Season 4 is coming out next week, and with Season 4 eventually I believe we are also getting custom lobbies. Very excited for the potential that will allow us to do in terms of our own Fall Guys tournaments. There will be lots of innovation going on and play more exciting formats, so hopefully if you're watching and you are interested in participating, you can check us out at the Gaming Stadium CS on Twitter, or join our Discord, discord.gg/TGS. Get that Fall Guys roll and you will be notified when we have events coming up, so you can get in on the action. All these players are playing for free and there is a cash prize pool, so certainly a lot of value in these tournaments. We are on to the second round. We've got the Whirly Gig coming up. This is one of the best race courses in the game, and for these players, this is an opportunity to try to get another first place finish for Stratosphere. Try to get those points. All right, bit of a stumble there. 8 actually getting off to a bit of a lead, but great bump there for the My Friend Pedro banana costume, and looks like they're the ones actually getting off ahead of the pack there. So 8 getting caught on these propellers here, really kind of getting stun locked for a few seconds, try to work his way around now, but a bit of stumbling means that first place is not in the books for him. On the other side, Stratosphere making it through, but he is just barely trailing that banana, who is able to make it through the middle there. Gets knocked down for Stratosphere not making it through, so now both of our other players are firmly ahead. Looks like the banana is going to get the first place finish, followed closely behind by the other player, and unfortunately for 8, doesn't get the knockoff. Once again, knocked off the platform rather than knocked through into further ahead, and this means that may not even get that top 20% finish, may only be looking at top 50% here. If that's the case, a bit of kudos lost there for 8 by getting stun locked in those earlier positions and not able to get that earlier finish. And there's the cascade of finishes, top 50% for 8, as we move on to the third map in this first game of the lower bracket semifinals. All right, here we go. Let's see what it is going to be. I think I spotted a Golden Knight in this lobby. Golden Knight, one of the rarest skins in the game. I believe you need over 3,000 crowns to get that Golden Knight costume. So really, we've got a veteran in this lobby, and we'll see if they will pose a problem for our players competing in this tournament. As here we go, 8 as Stratosphere. We are watching Hoopsie Daisy. This is a team game. The stakes are low for the players in terms of qualification, as they will qualify or not qualify together. However, losing on this map would be greatly beneficial for the players that are currently leading. That would be Stratosphere and whoever finished the My Friend Pedro banana. first in the second map, as they would have the most kudos if they were to get eliminated here. So big implications here for 8 and the fourth player to try to get that qualification and give themselves the opportunity to try to earn the crown in this lobby. Last time we saw Hoopsie Daisy, our team was eliminated. Fortunately, this time we don't have the same issue. We do have 27 points already for the red team, leading the pack, not by much. Yellow fully on their heels, but enough for them to add another golden for red means now the lead is firmly secured, as they are pretty far ahead. 8 getting a spawn on this ramp that he's just kind of been securing this area, trying to make sure any rings to spawn on this ramp or around it, he's going to have a good shot of getting, including any golden rings that pop up. There's another one. So really played the zoning strategy from 8. On the other side, we see Stratosphere having a zone of his own, and it is working for the red team. They have plenty of rings right now. Yellow firmly behind, 30 points, lagging behind blue by about 20. So going to be pretty difficult outside of a string of golden rings connected together for yellow to get back into this. And we are not on the many golden rings variation that can sometimes pop up for Hoopsie Daisy. So very little opportunity for a comeback to happen here, which means that red team moving firmly through. Again, doesn't really matter how they move through, as they will all get the same amount of kudos as a team. But really, again, great job from them, and living to see another day and perhaps another opportunity for all of the players to try to secure themselves that crown. 20 remain here as we move into what I believe is the fourth round. So still not likely to be a finals map. We'll have likely one more before we move on to the finals. Let's see what it is. It is Block Party. We've talked about how Block Party as a survival map can get a little tricky in those last 20 to 30 seconds, as the final cascade of blocks can end up with some sabotaging or maybe an unlucky trip, players falling off. So we're going to see how these players maneuver here to try to make sure that they stay alive and try to get through this map, as we see 8 going immediately for the grabs on the banana. But so far, everybody more or less choosing to play it safe and not really get themselves too concerned with the sabotages at the moment. Rather, it's their own survival they want to ensure. All right, looks like a bit of lag there for Stratosphere. Hopefully that doesn't end up punishing them, as if you lag on this map, it is possible to just get tripped up and knocked off the map. So hopefully no issues there for Stratosphere. 8, on the other hand, using that forward strategy that I talked about, making sure that they're not getting caught in the puddle of people. They're leading the pack. The only thing he has to be worried about is making sure he doesn't get grabbed and pushed off the front of the map. 50 seconds left, as we have got that on the screen for you. So we are approaching the final stage of Block Party. This is when the big cascade of platforms and blocks can happen. About 30 seconds in is when it happens. So this is the last batch, and now things are going to get tight pretty quickly. So we'll see what happens. All right, not yet. Looks like maybe the last 20 seconds or so on this variant, and there it is. This is the last gate, and here come the blocks. All right, this is a pretty tame one, and beautiful execution by 8 on this last bit of Block Party. When all the blocks are connected, you can actually get a hop off the head of another player, and if you're able to execute it well, you are essentially safe here. Up there, you can't really get knocked down. You will make it through. Fortunately, all the players make it through, so no untimely eliminations for any players, means that we will have all 4 of our players here in this potential final map. Really no eliminations on that Block Party. 17 people left. So with that being the case, it is potentially possible for us to actually have a rare 6 map round here, maybe one more map before the finals, but no, instead we have the chaos that is the 17-person hexagon. Anybody that has played the only hexagon mode that has been offered as an alternate game mode in recent weeks, you will know that when you have that 20 or 17 people left, this game mode is chaos. The platforms disappear so quickly as we see everyone getting to it. And really, if you're able to survive on a top line, it is even better here than it is in normal hexagon, as we see 8 getting a bit of leeway here on this top golden level and able to make it down to the blue, able to make it down to the purple, but those levels are already gone and we are down to gold. There is so little room for error here, as we see Stratosphere on the other side also stable, may be able to make that jump. Beautiful execution. All right, Stratosphere, that is great for him. He's able to hold off a little longer, maybe able to make a connection to the purple here. Ooh, sabotage by the Doom costume, and Stratosphere falling down to gold. 8 still surviving on purple a little bit longer, and we're already seeing the slime. Ninja's on the gold, 8 is on the gold, Stratosphere is on the gold and falling down towards the slime. Oh, we are already on the bottom level for most players. It is just 8 and the Ninja there on that golden level. Now I believe all the players are down to the bottom. Stratosphere likely to go down, no room to maneuver. That's 1. 8 still alive, down to 4, 5 players, 4 now, 13, 12. Ooh, it's like 8. 8 has the crown. Congratulations to 8, able to survive, picking the right path, and ends up taking the crown in the first of 2 games in this lower bracket semis. We are going to take a quick moment to get screenshots, tally up those points. We're going to play one ad, and then we will be right back for the second game of the lower bracket semis. Don't go anywhere. Hello and welcome back. I have the points from that first game. 8 getting that crown, 1140. Yoakok was actually second with 510, and then we have a tie between Adigi Swag and Stratosphere for third with 440 points each. So still quite close, other than 8, who with that crown is guaranteed a spot in the next round. So congratulations to 8. Can definitely relax a bit here in this round, but from these competitive players, we're certainly not going to see them concede or give up. We're definitely going to see them push to try to get that win. And there are certainly scenarios like we saw earlier with that jump showdown. If 2 players somehow win a crown in a round, that could still end up putting 8 in jeopardy. So still needs to keep fighting for it, as we see the players loading in here for the second map. And I do have confirmation that the banana costume is actually Joakok, and we do have Adigi Swag on the Ninja. So those are the 4 players we are watching, and we are into Tundra Run to start off the second round of the lower bracket semis. Ooh, and we have the fan variation at the very end of the map. Fan variation, a bit less high variance than the normal trampolines that are available on Tundra Run. The fan, you don't really get stuck waiting for other players to trigger the trampolines and waiting for them to go. So yeah, we're going to see the players trying to get that first place finish. Again, not as prevalent for 8 in these earlier rounds, considering he already has the crown. And we saw a beautiful recovery from 8. He was pretty far behind in terms of kudos in the earlier rounds. He was struggling. He was getting those middling finishes. But by earning that crown, he was able to mitigate all of it. And no full perfect jump there from 8. But again, he's not really going for that first place finish. Who is going for that first place finish is Stratosphere. He's tied for third right now. Able to get that first place finish is huge for him, as that will mean that he's able to get those extra bit of kudos to try to break that tie and make sure to keep himself out of a potential tiebreaker. As we see Joakok actually struggling a bit here on the fan, not getting the timing right between the fan and the roller there, was able to get it at the end. Unfortunately, a little too late for a top 20% finish. Looks like just falling within that top 50%, but good enough perhaps to at least get that. And considering he had a bit of leeway there with the kudos from the first round, still looking okay. all 4 players making it through, 43 players, and we are going into the second map of this second round. 43 players qualified. We're hoping to see another nice little race map here before we go into the more cutthroat survival maps if possible. Would hate to see something like Jinxed here, although I don't believe you can actually get Jinxed with 43. Jinx is one of those maps that you only get in the second round, but you need extremely specific numbers in the lobby to get it, and I don't believe 43 falls into the qualification zone for Jinx. All right, this is a new one we haven't seen today. Another Season 3 map in Ski Fall. This is a really cool map. The aim of the game is to get 15 points. Bronze rings are worth 1, silver rings are worth 2, golden rings are worth 3, and the golden ring at the very end of the map is worth 5. So you do see one strategy is for many players to ignore the first 2 rounds of rings, just try to go through off the side and get 3 golden rings at the very end, giving themselves that 15 points that they need. Some players do try to mitigate it by maybe getting a silver and a gold on the first 2 runs to only need 2 runs to get through it. And we're seeing here the Stratosphere already at 10, but does it get the jump on the last one to complete the 15, which means no first place finish for Stratosphere. 8 also struggling, 5 people already through. There's 14, so only needs 1 bronze to finish it, but there it is. All right, 8 and Stratosphere making it through. Adage Swag gets the last ring he needs, and all of our players are qualified. This is one of those maps where the first few qualifications lag a little bit, but once people start getting them, they will all cascade in, and that is what we're seeing. 14 out of 15 for this one player. They need 1 bronze ring. There it is. All right, and we have the round. Top 50% finish for 8, and once again, all 4 players making it through here on Ski Fall. 26 players remain. 25 players remain. All right, let's see what the players will be dealing with. 25, not a multiple of 3, so we may not see a team game here. That would be ideal. I don't think any of the players really enjoy playing the team games when they come to these tournament settings, and instead we have Snowball Survival. Snowball Survival, another new map here in Season 3. I believe this was the Season 3 mid-season update map, and this means the least amount of time for players to have played this one, but still plenty of experience, I'm sure, from all of these players. There is this essential platform here. The pink hexagons do not break. The blue hexagons do. They are like the hexagons from Thin Ice, so 3 jumps or some amount of time spent on them and they will break. There's also these 2 snowballs that are rolling around on their own trajectories trying to knock players off the platforms. They do have pretty strong hits, so if you were to get hit by a snowball, you could get knocked off the platform with no real way to recover. That's why we see a lot of players trying to keep themselves in those zones that are isolated and have full vision of the snowballs to try to dodge them. Sometimes the 2 snowballs bumping into each other will knock their trajectories off in an unpredictable way, which is why we see the players still try to move around a decent amount, but not too much, as they don't want to accidentally move into the path of a snowball. And so far, all the players surviving quite nicely. I believe I have eyes on all 4. Yep, Stratosphere has eyes on Joe Coke and Adage Swag, and 8 surviving. So 4 players through once again, as we move on to what I believe is the 4th map. A decent amount of eliminations there. We saw 17 people being eliminated, only 12 left, so we could potentially move directly to a final lobby. We'll have to see whether this is going to be a 4-map round or we have one more before the final. All right, we have a team game, Snowy Scrap. This is one of the trickier team games from Season 3. It can be an annoying one, as there are plenty of opportunities for other teams to sabotage you. I believe the experienced players here of this team, all 4 of them are the ones on the team, so they should be able to navigate around those sabotages nicely and perhaps sabotage the other teams. As you roll your candy ball here across the piles of snow, you will pick up points, grow your snowball, and try to get to 100%. However, there are opportunities, as we see from Stratosphere there, to try to essentially sabotage other teams by keeping their ball in a position where they're not able to roll it across snow. And the target of choice there for Stratosphere is the unfortunate red team. It is possible, given the physics of the game, for one skilled person to essentially stop an entire team from getting too many points, and that is what is currently happening from Stratosphere. This is also giving the yellow team free reign of the map along with the blue team. Finally, we see a red team member join the yellow team here, trying to get sabotages of their own, but the skill in this game goes two ways. There's the skill of being able to sabotage another team and the skill of being able to get out of a sabotage from another team. And I believe these players should be able to do both, as we see those numbers continue to go up. 78, 80% now for the yellow team, 90% from blue. Red team still sitting at 31%. And now blue team is gone. So even more real estate on the map, as the last team remaining with their candy ball will be the one eliminated. And currently, with the 50% gap in completion between the yellow and red teams, I think it is not looking good for the red team, almost single-handedly thanks to the efforts of Stratosphere, who until the very end was keeping that red ball in place. And looks like we have a final map with, once again, all four players making it, as this map will decide who will be the second player joining 8 in that lower finals against Frozen Flash and AAA. If 8 was to get the crown here again, it would be much closer. It's Jump Showdown. Ooh, this can be problematic for 8, actually, as we spoke about earlier. He is in the finals, so he does have a good amount of kudos already, but everybody made it to the finals last time. If 8 gets eliminated and we have 2 players get a draw here for both of them to get crowns, that could be very problematic for 8, which means he needs to play aggressively, either to survive or to eliminate the other players. This is a new variation of Jump Showdown that we saw get added in Season 3. We now have that fan that sometimes spins around the map, and that means that when you're trying to jump, time those careful jumps, especially with the timing of the faster blades in the later stages of the map. The fan coming around and just blowing you off trajectory can really end up messing with some players, and that can prove dangerous, especially if players are aiming for a tie scenario because they want to be able to overtake 8. So we'll see what ends up happening here. Looks like we still have Adigi Swag in. We still have 8 in. Beautiful transition. The transitions against the turn of the blade are certainly the harder ones. 8 able to make the transition back, survives from the fan, but unfortunately gets caught and clipped. So 8 is down. We have Stratosphere. We have Adigi Swag. We have Joacoke all still alive. There are still 6 people left. So again, the tie scenario is alive. Adigi Swag is down. We are down to just Joacoke and Stratosphere, and they are playing for the crown. Whoever gets this crown will be the second player moving through. However, in the odd scenario where both of them survive long enough to get this draw, that could potentially be disaster for 8. So 8 watching here, the only thing he's hoping for is no draw, as now we are in that end game scenario. There are only 2 platforms left. The fan is blowing 1 player down. There is 4 people left, 2 on each platform. And once the players are able to get it down to that 1 on each platform, if they're able to do that, that is the scenario where they can start playing for a draw. And I think for both of these players right now, they would rather a draw and try to get past 8 than to get knocked down by potentially going for some grabs. So right now, the players are really playing the game of survival. Ooh, great break from Joacoke, is able to survive. Oh, very unfortunate for Stratosphere. Actually tries to make the platform transition, maybe go over there to mess with Joacoke a bit, but isn't able to get the footing before the fan and the propeller knock him off. So now it is Jorokoke against that Cuphead from the other side. Just needs to survive this fan. Doesn't matter if he wins alone or if he gets the draw. So he should not be going for sabotages here. He should be playing his own game. It is very unlikely at this point for the Cuphead to want to make the transition. The propeller blades are too fast now, so it is very unlikely that the Cuphead can make the transition, and that means Joko just needs to play his own game, just needs to survive. We are seeing a bit of lag here. The fan almost knocking him off, but fortunately, the combination of the fan and the blades does keep him on the platform, and there goes. Nope, the Cuphead is still alive as well. Again, when you're spectating a player, what may look like the player getting hit doesn't actually line up with the player's point of view. And we are currently looking at one of our eliminated players spectating Joe Cook, so we don't have the live feed of what is actually happening. But so far, firm foothold from him, as it looks like because of the isolation of these platforms, we may be looking at a 5-minute scenario again, or at least that's what Joe Cook is going for. The other player, certainly still time for either of them to get knocked down. Ooh, very close there, as there may have been some opportunity for Joko to miss the crown there. Still alive, gets past that fan, and certainly a draw much rarer on this map when you have this fan circling around. It does cause much more problematic late game scenarios where a player can get knocked down. So we'll see whether Joko is able to hold on, whether that Cuphead gets knocked off, and whether he can get this crown to secure himself a place. Ooh, it looks like Joko made it. No, unfortunately not. The Cuphead was still holding on, so no crown for him. And we have to cut to a quick break as we tally the points, see whether we have another tiebreaker scenario, as no players did end up winning that crown to make it a clear lead, or whether we have our champions and we can move on to the lower bracket finals. Don't go anywhere. It should be a pretty quick break, and then we'll be back to tell you what's next here in the TGS Open Series featuring Fall Guys. Hello and welcome back to the TGS Open Series featuring Fall Guys. My name is Zapgaze. I've been your host for today, and we are in the final stretches of the tournament. We are down to the lower bracket finals. Only 6 players remain in the tournament. Just to give you a reminder, we do have Professor X and Polio waiting in the grand finals for the 2 players that are going to make it out of this lobby. Here we have Frozen Flash, we have Triple A. They are the players that fell down from that upper bracket finals. Facing off against them, we have 8, and we now have Joko, who just won that tight tiebreaker there. So we have 4 players. They are loading into the lobby. We are going to check in. I believe we have Triple A and Frozen Flash's perspective. So they've had a bit of a break waiting for this lower bracket to catch up. They fell down from that upper bracket finals, and we're going to see if they can secure their spots in the rematch against Professor and Polio, or whether some of the players from the lower bracket can pull off the quote-unquote upset and get there instead. We do have Triple A on the Milkshake, Frozen Flash on the Athlete. We have 8 on the Orc, and we have Joko on the Banana. So let's see who is going to come out ahead here in this lower bracket finals. First map, Night Fever. This is certainly the first map that we've seen the most of today. I don't think any of the players are too unhappy with this. Again, it's a pretty straightforward map, and no real chances to get tripped up on it. So a lot of good opportunity for players to just pull ahead. The biggest problem with this map, like most first maps, is there's no real room for comebacks unless somebody messes up. So if you fall behind, there's a good chance that you're going to be behind for good. And when it comes to these types of race situations where you're trying to get that first place finish, get those extra kudos, you don't want to be falling behind. We see Joe Coke actually pull ahead there on Frozen Flash's screen. Frozen Flash once again taking a tumble, and on the other side, Triple A and 8 are neck and neck. So Joe Coke taking the firm lead here ahead of the rest of the lobby, or has he? It looks like Triple A may actually be ahead here, as I don't see the arrow from Joe Cook anywhere. So it looks like it is Nope, there's Joko coming out from the left. So Joko going to get the first place finish. AAA, great transition, getting second. 8 should be shortly behind him in third. And finally, there goes Frozen Flash. So all 4 of our players getting those finishes. Congratulations to Joko for getting that first place finish and the extra kudos here. But top 20% for all the players means that we are still in anybody's race here as we finish the first map of the first round in this lower bracket finals. Professor X and Polio waiting in that upper bracket, in that grand finals, waiting for these players to catch up and try to see who can get that first place finish. All 4 players in the grand finals will be taking home some cash money, but it is going to be first place who takes down the biggest prize. So we're going to see that last lobby will be for everything. But first, we have to see who gets there. This tournament did have a $250 Canadian prize pool. First place $120, second place $70, third place $40, fourth place $20, and free entry. So certainly a lot of money on the line considering there was no entry fee, and I'm sure these players all would like to get that first place prize. So we'll see what the second map is for the hopefuls trying to earn their way into the grand finals to face off against the players waiting. All right, the return of Hit Parade. The first time we saw this today was in that tiebreaker. Now we'll see how the players navigate it when there's less pressure on them, as they don't need to be first, they just want to be first. And this is a different variation we're seeing here. We do see the normal gates there in the center. We do see the balls here swinging at the first portion, but most players actually tend to ignore the balance beams and just go through the lower part. Will recover enough to have their speed back up. Going through the gates first is a huge advantage, so Frozen Flash going through, really great for him, and if he's able to make it through this middle section, should be primed for a first place finish, but gate 8 is directly behind him, so nothing easy here, as jumping, diving to get past those swinging balls, and now it's the hammer field. If you don't judge the trajectory of these hammers or the speed well, you could get locked in position. But there, unfortunately, 8 actually pulls ahead of Frozen Flash at the last moment from off the screen. So 8 will be the one getting the first place finish there. AAA also finishing, and now we are just watching Joko. Looks like Joko may not be qualifying. He's caught in the hammer field. Joko is knocked out in this first game very early. Getting knocked out on the second race is not where you want to be, and considering this map, this round is the lower bracket finals. This is part of the deciding factor for who makes it to the grand finals. This is the worst time for that to be happening. And unfortunately for Joko, he only has one chance left in that second round of games to try to get a ground and maybe get back into this. Going to be a lot harder for him going forward from here. For the other 3 players, certainly still in it. As we move into the next map here, and it is going to be Snowball Survival. The players showing last time that they are quite familiar with the map. They know how to maneuver around these snowballs, and we're going to see if there's going to be anything causing problems for them. I believe I did spy a little cannon in the sky, so we may have a bit of a variation here. If that ends up being the case, well, there's the cannons. There's the snowballs coming from the cannon, so nothing too bad here. A bit of a hit there on AAA. Fortunately, early enough where the platforms were still there and not falling through to the slime, but as these platforms start whittling away, it is going to be much tougher if anybody does take one of those hits. So far, we're seeing everybody still doing okay. 8 sitting off and we see Triple A joining him in that cluster of 3 platforms. Frozen Flash, ooh, a little combo there, getting knocked onto some thin ice, but not thin enough for him to get knocked down quite yet. So still all of our players alive, 15 seconds left, but if you get hit by one of these snowballs at the last second, that could be the end of your round. So don't want that to happen as the players are playing it pretty safe. That's one snowball dodge for AAA. 8 gets hit by a snowball at the last second. I think 8 went off, and I think it may just be Frozen Flash and Triple A making it through here. We'll confirm on this end screen if 8 did in fact get knocked off by that last snowball, and he did as he goes into the slime. Goodbye 8. We have 2 players in the finals of the first round. Oh, and we're not even on the finals yet. We've got another fruit shoot to deal with. I believe there's only 11 players here, and if that's the case, this fruit shoot will likely be cutting down to 6 or 7. 6 is the number, so this is going to be do or die for both these players. We'll see if there's a Yeetus available for them to get a boost off. Otherwise, it may have to be fruit shoot the old-fashioned way, and doesn't look like there's a Yeetus since neither player is going for it. Ooh, a little bit of stumble from Frozen Flash, and falling behind with only 6 qualifying. You can't really afford those stumbles on this fruit shoot. Triple A doing great, leading the pack, going to make it up the fruit shoot unless that mango or apple has something to say about it. Never quite figured out what that fruit was, but here we go. Still looking likely to qualify. We don't know how many people are on the other side. Ooh, the cinnamon stick knocking him down at the last minute. Oh, this is disastrous for Triple A. There are 4 through. Triple A not making it. There's 2 ahead of him. Triple A is drawing dead, and it is only Frozen Flash working towards the final round. That was a big misstep from AAA, maybe feeling a little too safe there. Once he had made it onto that final platform, didn't quite have his footing, and the log that came down at the very last moment caught him before he could jump over it, and he was knocked back down the fruit chute. So only Frozen Flash now in the final map. If he's able to get this crown on roll-off, he will almost assuredly secure himself a spot in that grand finals to get that rematch against Professor and Paulio. But if he's not able to get this crown, he'll have a bit of a lead, but it could still be anyone's game. So 6 left. Let's see if Frozen Flash is able to do it. It all comes down to him now. All right, early stages of roll off. You see the very helpful tip at the top left corner. Don't fall off. And that's the name of the game. This is going to speed up pretty quickly. You have to time the gaps. You have to watch the rising slime. You have to make sure that you are not putting yourself in a position to get grabbed and knocked off. We see 1 player already knocked out, 4 more to go through. And part of the key strategy in sabotages here on rollout and roll off are you want to be pushing people off the edge against the grain of the roll. So by doing that, you can take advantage of the roll to accelerate your push. That's why when you're on this side, you don't want to be close to the edge from a certain point of view. And that applies on both ends. So we're seeing Frozen Flash be very careful about where he ends up because you do not want to be presenting yourself as a target for someone to grab and push off. That's the last thing you want to happen here at this stage of the tournament, where this crown can be the difference maker between you making it to the grand finals, making it into the guaranteed prizing, and not as the second player goes off. 4 remain, and Frozen Flash playing very safe. He does not want to get involved in the sabotage game. He doesn't want to be pushing anyone. He doesn't want anyone to push him. He needs this crown. He needs it bad, and he knows it. So at the moment, he wants to make sure there's no target on his back. Everyone else can compete. Everyone else can fight, but he's going to stick to himself, and I love this strategy. When you need to get the crown, you should not be playing too aggressively, and this is great from Frozen Flash so far. 3 people remain, 1 person off the edge. The rolling is getting faster, and this is where it all comes down to. If the other 2 players can sabotage each other, this can be incredible for Frozen Flash, making the quick transition there. Doesn't want to get caught by the slime, and playing it extremely safe. Love this from Frozen Flash, as the amount of slime is increasing, the amount of room is decreasing, and it is going to be really tight to see if somebody will get caught off guard and go into the slime or not. There is almost no room for maneuverability now, as we see some jumps happening on the other side. Risky strategy when the slime is so high. Will Frozen Flash get rewarded here? Looks like someone was almost off, but actually manages to hold on. There is basically no room left here. Still 2 players left. A little bit of desync there, but that person survives, and we are down to the wire. The slime is on all sides. There's no room to move. Excellent movement from Frozen Flash. Ooh, barely dodged the slime from one of the randoms, and Frozen Flash gets caught off and goes off the edge into the slime. No crown for any players. The other 3 players in this lobby breathing a huge sigh of relief, as that means even though Frozen Flash does have a bit of a lead, it is still anybody's game when it comes to this final lobby. And I think for all the players, that's what they love to see. So we're going to take a quick break as the players submit their scores. We'll play one ad, and then we'll be back for the second game of this lower bracket finals. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Game 1 is in the books in this lower bracket finals. The players are getting ready in lobby to go to the second game. We have the scores. We had some unfortunate early eliminations there throughout that round, and we saw Joe Cook going out in 4th, 155 points for him. 8 out in 3rd, 285 points for him. Triple A out right before the finals, 335 points for him, and Frozen Flash making it all the way to the finals, but not able to secure that crown, 440 points for him. So unlike some of our previous lobbies, no real close ties here. Everybody at cascading levels of difference because they were knocked out on different rounds, which means that we are not likely in for a tiebreaker this time around. So this game is going to determine a lot of it. We'll see if some of the players in the back can catch up. If Joe Cook gets a crown, it is still his game, and he will move on to the grand finals. So we'll see who is able to take it in this final round of the lower bracket finals. Once again, we are watching Frozen Flash and Triple A. Triple A on the milkshake, Frozen Flash on the referee unit costume, actually, as we see Triple A getting nice movement, 8 right behind him. Perfect optimization there, getting through the early part here, as now we'll see, can he jump under the ball? There's one successful. Second dive successful as well, and he is off. There's a little trampoline there. They almost tripped him up there, and this is a variation that we haven't seen here that in the past, which is there is no upper platforms. It is all down. There is a way to get across the top by bouncing on that middle section, but it does typically end up being slower. And for these players who are in a kudos race, every kudos matters, especially when it's this close. You do not want to go slower. So going for the yeetus, perfect yeet by Frozen Flash should be enough to get him first place, and that is first place going to Frozen Flash. Triple A trailing behind just a bit, but still enough to get top 20%. So still fine for him. We'll see where the other players are. 8 makes the transition, doesn't get knocked off. Looks like it is going to be a qualification, but only top 50% from him. Maybe if he's able to finish, and there's Joe Coke. That's going to be a last-minute qualification from him. So minimum kudos for Joe Coke, but at least qualifies. So still everybody in it, but definitely a difference in kudos earned on this first map. Big win for Frozen Flash, getting that first place finish. He is currently leading in kudos, so that means even if he doesn't get the crown this round, as long as he does well, he will position himself with the kudos earned in the first game to be the second person moving on to that grand finals, which is about the best position you can ask for, considering getting the crown is by no means guaranteed, especially when you're in a lobby with 3 other experienced players. And here we go. Tundra Run will be our second race of this second game in the lower bracket finals. Doesn't look like anything too complicated here. Looks like a pretty normal variation. And at the very end, yep, this looks like it may actually be no variations here for this Tundra Run. So everything the players are pretty much used to, as we will see Triple A on that milkshake, getting ready to see if he can make a bit of a comeback, going to get past the snowballs. No fruit this time around. So can he do it. So far, so good. Leading the pack. Only one random ahead, and they get knocked down. Will he go down the center? Looks like he's going to do it. Gets a bit of a boost off that wall, and that allows him to time all the way around these punches. Really useful. Perfect boost across the gap. Triple A in great position to try to get that first place finish. Frozen Flash gets a bit stuck going around that trampoline there to dodge the fan. One more round of trampolines. 1, 2, there it is. Really, really well done from Triple A. On the other side, there's Frozen Flash still struggling a bit with this middle section. Should still be okay. Does finally get that perfect bounce that you want. The other two players also finished. Doesn't look like there's enough players ahead of him for Frozen Flash to miss, but these trampolines can sometimes get tricky if you get stuck behind in the queue. Let's see if he can complete the final bounce. There it is, and he does qualify. Not as many kudos for him this round, but enough for him to make it, and that's what matters right now, as ultimately the big goal is getting that crown and getting that big boost of kudos by getting the first place finish. All right, much better place than we were this time around in game one, where Jokok had already been eliminated. All four players are still in here going into the third map. We'll see what it is. We'll see if it's a team game where the players can kind of take a bit of a breather, or whether it is an elimination game where everything is on the line. And it's Freezy Peak. Neither. We've got a race game. And Freezy Peak in the middle of the pack, not as bad. There's going to be quite a lot of qualifications here. I would guess somewhere between 17 and 20. And if that's the case, the players can take a bit of a breather. It's not nearly as necessary to have perfect movement. It looks like 19 making it through. So you do still need to have good movement. You can't afford to fall too far behind. But there is more room for error than there is otherwise on later stages of Freezy Peak. So AAA getting a bit tripped up on the punches, but not too badly. Good jump to make use of that fan and not get caught on the trampoline means he's still pretty close to head of the pack. Gets grabbed there and falls off. That is disastrous for his timing, as he should still be okay, but now he was once ahead of the pack and really avoiding all this clutter. Now he's caught in the middle, which can be really bad. Jokok just directly in front of him, and quite a crowd of people hopefully not going to get caught and gone into one of these trampolines and knocked off the edge, as that would be problematic. Sometimes when you're going for this jump over the trampoline, if another player triggers it, it can still knock your feet out of the air and be disastrous. Fortunately, AAA makes it through with no problems. Jokok already through. Frozen Flash shortly behind them. Won't be in that top 20%, but will still be qualifying. And is there one player left? I don't know if we've seen 8 qualify. Looks like we have. So all 4 players are through. Based on the timing, maybe 8 was actually the first player to make it through, who we didn't see before Jokok made it up there. But as it stands, I believe all 4 players are once again through, and that means we've got 4 out of 4 going into the 4th map here. All right, 19 qualified, map 4. What is it going to be? We're not on a multiple of 3. Could avoid a team game, and we do. It's going to be Hoopsie Legends, likely cutting down to around 11 or 10 here. We'll see what the number is, and we'll see who can get those golden rings to try to get themselves through as quickly as possible. First golden ring positioning right at the center. Anybody can scramble for it. Let's see who has a good path in. 11 making it through. Frozen Flash looking for outs to get there. Same with AAA. Doesn't seem to have a great platform. Maybe going for a bit of a jump here, but it's not working. Isn't able to transition off quite yet. There it is. Has somebody already gotten it? No. And AAA getting that first golden. He's already at 5 out of 6. Just needs one more and completes that jump. Beautiful finish from AAA. Couldn't tell if he was the first or not. We already have multiple players qualified as we come to Joko. Has 3 people have already qualified. He has 4 rings, needs 2 more. There's a golden. Can he get it? And he does. All 4 players, I believe, qualified from our group now in the top 4. So the real question is, did AAA get it first, or was the first place finisher one of Frozen Flash and 8? We're still waiting to see. We'll find out at the end, as from AAA's perspective, we'll see whether he gets that gold medal or not. He did get the very first golden ring, but it is still possible that in the time it took him to find a white ring, someone else got another gold in the finish. So we'll see whether AAA got that first place finish or not. It may be a bit as the other players start catching up. 4 spots left to fill out, and after this we will likely be going to a final lobby where all 4 players are still in it. Anybody could get the crown, and for the second place finish, it may all come down to the kudos earned so far. 9 out of 11, 2 spots left. This flower pot has 5 rings, just needs 1 white ring. You just need to find any ring. Okay, there's plenty. Don't go for the golden, it's so risky. Ooh, a bit of impatience, and now may get punished for it. And the flower pot does. They had such a clear path to a white ring, but instead went for the gold and got punished for it. All right, we are down to 11. All 4 players alive. Let's see what the final map is going to be and see who can take home the crown. Ooh, jump showdown. It is possible once again to get draws here. There is no fans, so the draw dream is alive. We'll see what the pattern is. We'll see who decides to get aggressive and who decides to play it safe. But anything is possible here on this jump showdown, and this will decide who are the 1 or 2 players making it through to that grand finals to join Professor X and Polio. So we'll see as early stages of Jump Showdown, all the platforms still up, slowly falling down one at a time. We don't know what the final pattern will look like. We don't know whether we're going to see 2 joined platforms or whether we'll see 2 completely separated ones, which means that players making the choice of where they stand will be the difference maker. Looks like we're heading towards 2 joint platforms by the looks of it, so there'll be plenty of time for sabotages, plenty of opportunity. 1 already eliminated, 9 left to see who will be our champion. We'll see, is this going to be 2 joint platforms or will there be a big divide? It is a big divide. We've got the players split up, and Triple A is in prime position. He's the only one on this platform. Everyone on the other platform is gone. Triple A is the last. Nope. Joachim's still. Joe Cox still alive as well. Looks like everybody is down. An unlucky grab from the propeller blades, and neither player ends up getting the crown. So it looks like we are going to have quite the cluster when trying to clean up these last bits of kudos. We'll see whether we have some ties or whether it's clear cut. We're going to cut to a quick break. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll let you know if we know the 2 players moving across and who will be in the grand finals, or whether we have need for yet another tiebreaker. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back very shortly. Hello and welcome back to the TGS Open Series featuring Fall Guys. One last time, my name is Zapgaze and I am going to be your host for this event. We have our grand finalist. We tallied up the points in that last round, and ultimately, it was Frozen Flash and Triple A that came out ahead. So we have a full rematch of the upper bracket finals. We have Frozen Flash, we have Triple A joining the players that were already in the grand finals, Polio and Professor X. We are going to have a full 3 games for this grand finals. It is going to work just like before. All 4 players have already secured some amount of prize money for themselves. Now it's just a matter of finding out who finishes where and who gets that first place prize of 120 Canadian dollars. So the players are in the lobby. We are going to be loading in momentarily. We are watching Professor X. We are watching Polio. We are going to see who is going to prove their dominance. Can anybody dethrone Professor X? He has looked so good all day. He has looked extremely dominant in all of the past TGS Open Series Fall Guys events, and that is no different today. So will anybody be able to take him down? Time will tell as we start getting ready for the lobby. We will be loading in momentarily, taking a look at the players as they will be loading in to see who is going to take this down. There are our players. We have the two burly barbarians. We have Professor X on the red. I believe we have Polio on the blue. We have Frozen Flash on the referee. And we have Triple A on the milkshake. Let's see who's able to get it done here in the first game of the grand finals. Waiting for the lobby to populate here. 38 out of 60 should be starting any moment now. There it is. Show will start in 3, 2, 1, as we do look to be having a pretty close to full lobby here for the first game. And populating, will we get the full 60? Close enough. All right, let's see what the first map is going to be. All the players are hoping no DoorDash. No DoorDash it is. Tundra Run is our first map as we see all the players getting ready here. Let's see what kind of variations we're looking at, if any. Middle looks pretty straightforward. Trampolines look pretty straightforward. All right, we're dealing with a fan at the end. The final round of trampolines have been replaced with a fan. That's the only big variation, no big deal there. And here we go. Our barbarians are off. Professor on the left as the red barbarian, Polio on the right as the blue barbarian as they go for this race. Professor once again firmly in the lead. We do see between him, from Polio's point of view, is Triple A and Frozen Flash. Almost great movement from Professor, but gets a very unfortunate punch off the side, and that slows him down quite a bit as he tries to go around. But any hopes of getting first on this first map are now gone for Professor, as it looks like Triple A will be the one leading the pack there. We do see great recovery from Polio, and it looks like it may actually be Frozen Flash up ahead, as Triple A is right behind Polio. Professor still stuck, so not looking at getting that finish, but Frozen Flash is actually going to be the player from the lobby getting the first place finish in this first map. So congratulations to him getting that early boost and kudos that may end up being the deciding factor in the 3-game finals that we've got going on here. I think we're all hoping that this finals will be decided by 3 games and 3 crowns between all the players, but that just is not realistically always the case. So hopefully we'll see at least 2 crowns here in this grand finals, but anything is possible as we head into the second map of the first game of the grand finals. Down to 40. 40 is a scary number. 40 means we could see Jinxed here. We have not seen it all day. I don't think any of the players are complaining about that, but Jinxed could be disastrous as it is essentially a coin flip. All the players see 40 and they know that it's a possibility. Fingers crossed that we don't see it. What is the second map going to be? It's rollout. All right. Sigh of relief from the players. No jinx to deal with today. No problem. Rollout, a much tamer map than its finals version in the roll off. And here we see Professor and Polio all clumped around the center here. We'll see which players actually prioritize going for the pushes and sabotages here on rollout, and which players just prefer to play their own game and try to survive. It looks like Professor, for the most part, just trying to steer clear of the other players. Same strategy from Polio. Love to see these players are just strategically choosing which edges of platforms they stand on, recognizing that as long as you are standing with the grain of the roll, you'll be okay. If you're going against the grain, the opportunity for other players to push you off is that much greater, which is why the positioning on platforms is extremely deliberate for these more experienced players. We see Polio and Frozen Flash hanging out a little too close to each other. It's possible Frozen Flash is looking for an opportunity to get that push, or vice versa from Polio. Professor, on the other hand, fully steering clear of other players, although it looks like Triple A may have other things planned, as Polio going for the push isn't able to get it on Frozen Flash, but that was pretty close to against the grain, and that could have been disastrous for Frozen Flash if he had gotten pushed off there. 13 already eliminated, 2 to go. AAA still in, Professor still in, all 4 players still in. And we'll see if Polio or Frozen Flash do make a last second push. No, they don't. All 4 players make it through, and we are down to 25 remaining as we go into the third game of this first map. Sorry, third map of this first game. Excuse me. 23 remaining. Typically, when you have 40 going through and 15 eliminated, that means we had a few disconnections along the way, people getting knocked out, people closing the game for whatever reason. But what remains is 23 people as we go into map 3, and we'll see what this one is going to be. Not likely to be a team game. I think all the players pretty happy about that, so maybe hoping for a nice little survival game here. Ooh, individual tail tag. This could be sketchy. Once again, the name of the game here is finishing with a tail. Secondary concern, hold on to a tail as long as possible to try to get that gold medal for the kudos. And we see Professor starting out with the tail. Let's see how much effort he goes to hold on to it. Polio stealing a tail right off the front. Last time we saw Polio playing this map, he held on to his tail the entire time. Now joining AAA, who also has a tail. And looks like so far everybody from our group holding on to their tails. We don't see where Frozen Flash is. We're not sure if he has a tail. AAA looked to have lost his tail there. Nope, still holding on to it. A bit scary there. So one person definitely lost their tail. Looks like it may have been Frozen Flash. Everyone else still holding on to it. Polio making sure to avoid people that don't have tails. That was a little scary, but holding on to it. Frozen Flash also holding on to a tail now. So all the players, Professor had his tail stolen. He needs to get that back. Go too long without a tail, and you can say goodbye to that gold medal here from Tail Tag. So we'll see if he's able to steal one quickly. There it is. Should still be in position to get a silver, but I don't think Professor is able to get a gold anymore with the amount of time he went without a tail. Polio, on the other hand, for the second time now, we are seeing him potentially go for uninterrupted entire round holding on to a tail. We'll see in the last 15 seconds if someone is able to steal one from him. Professor got a tail back, holding on to a A has a tail. 8 seconds left. 7, 6, 5. Frozen Flash has a tail. Everybody has a tail. Are we making it through? 1, 0. There it is. Gold medal for Polio. Silver for Professor. And I believe all 4 players making it through to the next round. So Polio really showing a lot of dominance here on that individual tail tag. Twice in a row, he has held onto a tail for the entire duration of the match. Really cool to see. Great job from him. And the extra kudos is going to be extremely valuable in this extended 3-game set here for the grand finals. Ooh, another season 1 map we haven't seen at all today. This is Tiptoe. This is a race. If you fall down, you will spawn at the beginning, but there are only 6 people through. So as soon as the correct path is identified, if you fall, you will likely get eliminated as everyone else will push ahead. Polio getting an early start to the route, trying to find the way, doesn't get the correct platform, allowing everyone else to catch up. And now when everybody is closer together, we're going to start to see things slow down a bit. All right, there's the path. One more row you can jump. You can go to that 3rd row. That is safe. You know it. The real question is, where is the path from the 3rd row? All right, it's to the left. The shaking platforms are fake. Some players may decide to try to risk the jump all the way across and trigger that final endpoint. These platforms haven't shaked yet. It could be straight ahead. It's not. One player gets knocked off. Now they know, ooh, Polio almost getting knocked off. This is really dangerous. You need to stick to the middle. All right, it's not that 4th row. It's one of these 3. It's one of those 2. You need to risk it. You need to go for it. It's that one. Go. Ooh, Frozen Flash gets knocked down. Frozen Flash eliminated. AAA knocked down. AAA eliminated. But both other players making it. Professor through. Polio through. Unfortunately for our players that came from the lower bracket, they both get knocked down at the last moments. And there are 6 players remaining, only 2 in our lobby playing for this first crown in this grand finals. Ooh. This is the game to end all games. 6-person hexagon. This is the ultimate test of skill here in this grand finals. We're going to see Professor against Polio. This is a rematch. It was Professor who stopped Polio from getting the crown the last time on hexagon. Polio was that close, and instead, because of that move, had to play in a tiebreaker showdown. This time, there is only 6 people left, and it is going to be crazy. There is going to be so much patience involved for these players. We're going to see how much they decide to get involved with others and how much they decide to stick to their own. Polio getting a nice little early positioning here on the blue level. Everyone else already down to the purple. Polio finally joining them. Let's see if he can knock off and cut off someone else and try to get this positioning, try to get to Professor sooner and make sure he falls down as well, considering Polio was almost out of platforms. This is extremely tight. All the players on the gold still, nobody down to the blue yet, and Professor almost gets knocked down but holds on, and now Polio in a bit of trouble, completely cut off Professor. Instead, Professor's going to go. Ooh, beautiful transition. Doesn't have the momentum for the second one. So everybody down on the blue now. Nobody remaining on the gold level up above. Still some room to go before the slime. There should be another round of gold below the purple that is below them before we reach the blue that is above the slime. So this is the point where everybody's trying to stake their claim on an upper level and get to the point where they can start doing those slow individual jumps. We see Polio adjust his camera, try to see how much room he has. Looks like he has all of the space to himself. So now the slow jump strategy begins. Polio has all of the blue. Doesn't look like there may be a small chance that he's actually able to transition from this part of blue to that single platform, and then may have enough momentum from there to complete the transition to the next batch of blues. If he's able to get that, he will be in great position. Unfortunately, Professor X is already down. Not enough room for Polio to make this jump, but there is nobody left on this purple either. He identifies that, goes down, and now, oh, there is somebody left. Immediate transition, cutting that person off, making sure that they're not able to keep up. There we go. Oh, wow, beautiful jumps from them. They're still in it. All right, now they're down, and Polio still has all this purple. This should be an easy win for Polio. It is going to be formulaic at this point. Just needs to keep these individual jumps. Don't take risky maneuvers. Don't knock off 2 platforms at the same time. Time this, go there, go further, come back. Now you can make this jump across. This is beautiful movement from Polio. Going to go down to the gold. Unfortunately, may not have that much time to spend on the gold here. So it looks like with the reduced number of players, Polio is actually being forced to go down to join the others on the blue. Can he knock everybody out from making it to the transition here? It looks like he's clearing it all off, and I believe there is a small portion of that blue in the corner that could be jumped to, and he identifies it. He cuts it off. This now is an easy win from Polio. There is one person left. They're out of time. He is just running across these platforms. Beautiful win from Polio. That is how Hexagon is done, and he takes the first crown in the first game of this grand finals. Very well done from him. We're going to have the players submitting their screenshots. We're going to take a quick ad break. We'll be right back with the second of 3 games in this grand finals. Don't go anywhere. All right, sorry about that. Welcome back. All the players have restarted. We are back in party. Everybody's in the lobby and should be loading in now. It looked like we just had a bit of a glitch with the game, but everything should be good now as we go back to the players dropping, and hopefully we'll get a lobby pretty quickly, as I'm sure all these players are eager to go into the next game and try to secure those points, maybe take the lead from Polio and try to get into that first place spot here. It's funny because we haven't actually seen Seesaw yet. That was going to be the first Seesaw of the day, and it does get interrupted by that glitch. So somebody just doesn't really want us to be playing Seesaw today. Not a big problem. It is a map that I think a lot of more skilled players are fine with, but some lower level players may not really enjoy just because it can be frustrating. Deal with the tricky physics of the map. So as we see the show populating, ooh, somebody left. Okay. There it is. The population is looks like complete. We're going to have a pretty full map here, and let's see what our first game is going to be. Will we go back to Seesaw as was fated, or will we deal with Tundra Run? More typical, fair enough. All right, we are loading into the first race. This is game 2 of 3 in the grand finals. Polio took the first game, won the crown, is leading the field with 1,245 points. It is on to the other players to catch up, and we are kicking off with Tundra Run. Professor all the way in the back, Polio near the front. So a bit of an advantage there, but we'll see if any of them will be able to close the gap. Professor gets hit by a snowball, just barely clipped, but enough to knock him down. And that may be the difference between first and second place for him. Polio even further behind. I believe I can spot Triple A actually leading the field. Frozen Flash just behind him. Professor fell down to the lower, so he's in third. But it's AAA that is currently just getting all the good movement. Solid jump from Polio, but doesn't clear the gap, unfortunately. Will AAA get the first win? Looks like AAA is in. So that is 1. Professor, that's 2. Where did Frozen Flash go? Looks like Frozen Flash was 3, and it's going to be Polio who actually comes in at the back. No, Frozen Flash actually not completed yet, so no top 20% for Frozen Flash. Looking at top 50% now, trying to make his way there. Top 50% almost gone. 2 more people. All right, this is a last-minute finish for Frozen Flash, assuming he gets it, which he should. There it is. So not even top 50%, and Frozen Flash, who desperately needs the kudos right now, is falling further behind here in these earlier easy race maps. So definitely not what he wants to see. Unfortunate for that ballerina there, as they aren't able to make it across the finish line. But all 4 of our players are through. 44 remain as we head into the second map. 43 remain, and we'll see what we're dealing with for the second map. All right, map 2 loading. What will it be? It is DoorDash. Oh no, this is the worst case scenario for our players, especially DoorDash map 2. DoorDash map 1 can be okay, as typically there are at least enough people making it through to mitigate some of the RNG, even though there is still quite a lot of it. DoorDash map 2 means that less people are making it through, and that means your margins for error are even smaller. And if you get unlucky, if you hit that bad series of doors, you may just end up being eliminated. Last time we were on this map, we saw AAA set up and go off the side of the map. Let's see if he intends to do that again. We'll see Polio and Professor. Let's see how things go. All right, Professor has a pretty clear path ahead of him. Polio getting a little stuck. Ooh, door. All right, there's a path through. Professor is in. Polio falling behind. Frozen Flash falling behind. This can be problematic. I don't see AAA. I don't know where he is. Did he manage to find his way? He did. He went off the map again. AAA is at the very front. AAA may actually get the first place finish here, and I think he does, once again going off the map to make his way to the front. There's Professor qualifying, getting the yeetus from Polio, and also making it, albeit in a last minute finish. I'm not sure if Frozen Flash actually made it. We're about to find out. There's the referee on the left. Is he through? Is he out? Frozen Flash is through. All 4 of our players making it in these 30, but really cool movement from AAA. That is 2 first places in a row now, and that's the second time on DoorDash that he's demonstrated the ability to go off the side of the map and teleport himself to the very front here, as we are heading into a team game. Earlier, we saw Snowy Scrap for the first time with 12 people. That was teams of 4, and one person was able to fully stop a team from moving forward. That was Stratosphere. This time, this is Snowy Scrap with 30 people, 10 people on each team. That means there is enough people for each team to have multiple people focusing on the balls and have multiple people trying to mess around with the other team's balls. So this is going to be a big test of how good is this team at their sabotages, how much are they going to devote to just use their energy on their ball, and how much they will focus on stopping the other teams. We see Brefessa's focus is on the yellow team here, while Paleo is fully eyes on the prize, going for their own blue team ball, making sure they can get it as big as possible. So far, good strategy, 43% and climbing for blue. Red is next, but Brefessa, those efforts are paying off. Yellow team firmly stunted at 22%, and this is very much the red and blue team from Professor working together to keep yellow from progressing. 63% now for blue, 46% for red. Yellow not really moving at all, and this is now moving into dangerous territory here, as it looks like our players are definitely going to qualify. There is very little room for the other teams to sabotage them from here on. They only need 4%. This is done. Blue team qualified. That's the gold medal. And now we wait. Yellow team so far behind. The blue and red teams were doing such a great job of keeping them back, and we don't even see where the yellow ball is. There's nobody pushing it. 2% for red, and that's because we have seen the yellow team trying to sabotage this a bit. They are becoming successful. The yellow team is actually growing. Red has been stunted for a while, up to 80% now. Yellow up to 55. Can yellow sabotage red enough for them to grow, or will red finish? It looks like the finish goes to the red team 100%. Goodbye, yellow team. Unfortunate to see you go, but our team is still in, and we are headed into the 4th map with 20 people remaining. What will it be? What are we dealing with for this 4th map? Will it be Ooh, Wall Guys. Love this map. It is one of my favorite race maps. It is a race map that you don't get until later on, and the name of the game here is try to find the path to the finish. Ideally, you never want to find yourself in a position where you are pushing platforms. So we've got Polia's point of view. We don't have Professor's point of view. I wonder if Professor was eliminated. I don't believe he was. All right, there it is. Now we have the 2-player perspective. All right, Polio finding a good path. Can he complete this jump? He does. Should be in prime position for another jump dive and grab the edge. All right, that is Polio onto the last batch, and this is a pretty clear path. Jump, dive, jump, dive. This is a clean jump. No need to dive. Avoid the fan. Don't get knocked off, and that's Polio finishing first place here in Wall Guys. Really great performance from him. Looks like Triple A on his tail. Frozen Flash right behind, and it's Professor in the rear. Triple A already through, Frozen Flash already through. Professor completes the jump. Not enough people ahead of him to not qualify, and that is all 4 of our players making it through on. Ooh, I mistook. Frozen Flash is not through yet. Frozen Flash is behind. That was a different bean, and there is 3 spots left. Frozen Flash changing path here may be disastrous. The other platform was very close to the top, and if he's not able to get up there, this is disastrous for Frozen Flash. There is only room for 3 more beans, and I can't see what's happening on the other side. He needs a jump dive. He needs to hope nobody's making it from the other side. He is through, barely making it by the skin of his teeth, and now all 4 of our players are through, but that was pretty scary for Frozen Flash in the final stages there. All right, 12 left. We're going to have a final map here. What will it be? Will we get the honor of another hexagon? We have had no thin ice yet. I don't know if we want to see thin ice. Another jump showdown. 'Tis the day, and we are going to see And it looks like what the players call a blowdown. There is a fan on this map. We'll see how this affects the play from players like Professor X, who, as we've seen in the past, quite masterful at this Jump Showdown map. And we'll see if the addition of the fan variant will change things in terms of how he decides to play this final map. One down, 10 to go. We see Frozen Flash joining Professor here on this side, and we see Polio and Frozen Flash actually all together. Where is Triple A? All right, Triple A looks to be with them as well. So everybody clumping together, everybody trying to be safe, avoid that fan, avoid the falling platforms. Are they on the right side? Ooh, okay. That the left pathway is now blocked off. The right pathway is still open. But if that middle platform drops, whoever is on that platform on the other side has to hope that is not the one that drops. There is one player there, and if it drops, they are done. It looks like that is the end of the line for Triple A. Triple A is down. We have gotten our final two platforms. They are conjoined. That is great news for the players still remaining on them, as it gives you a lot more room to maneuver around this fan. When you have individual platforms for the final two in Jump Showdown, there's a lot of chances for the fan to blow you off. But with two platforms together, you have more room to maneuver, more room to dodge the fan using a sideways trajectory of walking. So there's still a lot to play for here. Beautiful grab from Polio. Professor X is down. We have just Polio and Frozen Flash surviving. And if Polio is able to get a second crown here, that will all but lock up first place. No other player will be able to cross that threshold of points that you get with two crowns in a single game. So three people remaining. Frozen Flash, one of them, goes for a grab. Polio dodges that. The goose is also in the mix. Let's see if this random goose is able to cause chaos. No, the goose is down. One of these two players will be getting the crown, and Frozen Flash knows that if he lets Polio get away with this, he will be giving Polio first place guaranteed. He can't go for a draw here. Frozen Flash gets it, and I believe it is Frozen Flash that will be taking this crown with a beautiful grab. So Frozen Flash, with an amazing grab at the last minute, will keep the hopes of everyone in the lobby alive and prevents Polio from getting that second crown. Beautifully done. Unfortunate for the other players to go off a bit early. We saw AAA get stranded on that individual platform. Professor X fell to a grab from Polio, but when Polio push came to shove, he himself fell to a grab from Frozen Flash. We are going to cut to a quick break. We're going to tally up the points, and then when we come back, we're going to bring you the third and final game of this grand finals. Hello, and welcome back to the final game of the TGS Open Series featuring Fall Guys. We have watched tons of actions up to this point. This is a new format that we've been trying today. Looks like at least quite a hit for the players. We'll see how they feel about it at the end. But there is one game left to crown a winner. The standings, as they currently stand, has Polio in first with 1,720 points. Frozen Flash in second, a little behind him with 1,475 points, and then things get a little closer. We have Professor at 880 points, and we have Triple A at 950 points. So Triple A third place, Professor X a surprising fourth place currently for him, considering he was the second seed in the tournament. So we're going to see how he does here as we head into Dizzy Heights. Let's see what happens here in this third and final game and see if Professor X can make a comeback, get this crown, and have a big enough gap to try to get into first place. All right, here we go. Professor X on the left, Polio on the right. One more game to decide it. Frozen Flash taking the lead there. Great optimization there. Polio misses one of the platforms and takes a bit longer. Frozen Flash and AAA ahead of him. AAA doesn't get the perfect dive, so Frozen Flash extending the lead. Perfect dive from him. Professor has fallen behind, and now it is AAA once again in the lead with Frozen Flash right on his tail. Was he able to get the grab? Didn't look like it, so it is Triple A leading. Triple A has fallen. It is Frozen Flash and Polio neck and neck. Which of them will get this? There is no Yeetus. You have to do this the old-fashioned way. We've got the fruit variant. Can you get around this? Ooh, Frozen Flash gets caught, and this all comes down to Polio, but no. Frozen Flash actually once again pulling the lead, and Frozen Flash will be the first place finisher in this first map. All players making it through, nobody eliminated yet, but things are getting tight now. When it comes to tiebreakers at the very end, or when it comes to points, it's really going to come down to kudos totals, and all of these first place finishes will matter for those small little adjustments of point totals. And for somebody like Professor who's already fallen behind, if you don't get these first place finishes now, your odds of being able to get that crown and put yourself in the lead start to diminish. So he really needs to get it together for some of these upcoming race maps and get those gold points, get those first place finishes if he wants to have a shot of getting first place in this lobby. All right, loading into game two. What will it be? It's the Whirligig. All right, another good race map. Let's see how this one goes. All four players alive, everything to still play for. Frozen Flash and Polio have the significant lead, but with a win in this third lobby, both AAA and Professor could still insert themselves into the mix. So it is anybody's game as we are off to the races. Frozen Flash and Professor off to an early lead. Polio a little bit behind, and Professor gets the perfect eat there from this roller and able to get himself onto the end of this part already. Tried to go through the propeller. There is one person ahead of him, Polio on his tail. We'll see if Professor is able to overtake this knight and try to get himself in position for a first place finish. Polio still lagging behind, slows himself down a bit, avoids that propeller. Very well done. Time to go through the middle. Right off the left, nice dive, goes through. All right, this is the lead the Professor needed. Nothing really to do here. Don't go for the yeet. Ooh, almost misses. Perfect. Realizes that the propeller of the windmill has turned too much. Instead goes for the boost strategy from the whirl and makes it, and that is a first place finish for Professor. We were just saying how important it is for him to get it, and he did indeed. All four players once again qualified. This time it was AAA leading the rear here, and we are heading into a third map in this third and final game with all players still alive. 29 left, top 20% here for Polio, first place for Professor. And let's see what happens here with 29 left. All right, Snowball Survival, third time's the charm. We've seen this map a few times before, and the name of the game is Avoid the Snowballs. Don't move around too much. You want to position yourself in places where you can have a good view of the map. You don't want to get pushed off, and you want to avoid these snowballs at all costs. The red platforms, they are eternal. They will not break. The blue platforms are ice. We've seen this type of platform in the final map, Thin Ice. They take three essential touches to break. The first touch and second touch just weaken them a bit. The third touch, they will disappear and players will fall through. So we do already see some open spaces. Part of the trickiness of this map is the stable platforms are the same color more or less as the slime below. So sometimes if you're not paying attention, you may lose track of where you are, make one wrong step and go into the slime. Ooh, we see Professor actually getting a little grabby. Polio survives, but Professor gets knocked and both of them have a bit of a scare. We'll see if they choose to get aggressive again. From Professor's point of view, he needs to get Polio out of this game as soon as possible, because if Polio makes it all the way to the finals, even if Professor does get the crown, he may not get enough kudos to take first place. So I definitely understand why he felt the need to get aggressive there. As we see if all of our players made it or not, it looks like Frozen Flash may be down. I do still see AAA, but no Frozen Flash. So the previous round crown winner is gone, and that means we only have 3 players left. Frozen Flash will have to hope that the second place points he had from before will be enough to carry him into that top 2 finish. But considering Polio is still alive, it looks like Frozen Flash can no longer get first place. All the other players still playing for it. This is Fruit Shoot. 1 player survives. They looks like there are Yeetuses, and that is what the players will likely go for. Professor trying to go for a grab, doesn't successfully pull it off. Polio gets the perfect yeet all the way to the top rung of the Fruit Shoot. Professor a little bit worse on the second portion. So Polio going to get an easy first place finish here. Professor just leaning up the rear, going for that second place or third, considering Triple A is actually coming up from the right, and all 3 players once again qualified. It looks like we are going to have all 3 players in the finals here of this third and final game, and we'll see who takes the crown and what the final standings end up looking like. Polio, Triple A, and Professor X still in it. Professor and Triple A without crowns. If Polio wins this, he will guarantee first place. If he loses, there is an off chance that one of Triple A or Professor, however unlikely, may be able to surpass him. But because this is the final map, it is more than likely now that Polio is the champion. Now, if Professor or Triple A get the crown, they will potentially be able to surpass Frozen Flash here, which is what they are primarily playing for at this point, trying to take that second place finish, considering Polio is likely in first, and we'll see if they're able to do it. We see just Professor's point of view right now. We're going to switch to that 2-person perspective. Polio going for a bit of a risky strategy, trying to create a few holes in the ice, but almost gets punished for it, tripped while trying to jump out of the hole, and could have potentially gone down there. Fortunately, back in control now, trying to make that hole again, trying to create these tricky traps for some of the other players to maybe fall into. We see Professor showing a bit more movement, so each player with their own individual strategy when it comes to thin ice. The final map that we had not seen yet today, we are finally getting a look at. Fortunately, no fall mountains on stream today. I think all the players are pretty happy for that, considering it is one of the final maps that nobody likes, although we did get 2 royal fumbles, so anything is possible. Ooh, and Polio is down. Professor with the grabs gets rid of the crown holder. So it is down to Triple A and Professor. Whoever wins, if one of them wins the crown here, will likely overtake Frozen Flash. Frozen Flash already knocked out in the previous 2 rounds ago, actually, no longer able to get this crown means that his points are locked in at what they are at. So if one of these 2 players gets this crown, that would knock Frozen Flash down to 3rd place. Polio already gone, but it looked like, based on the math, he was locked for 1st place unless something goes horribly wrong here. So it should right now be Polio in 1st place, Frozen Flash waiting in 2nd to see one of these players take the crown. We see Triple A walking around just trying to get rid of as much space as he can until he can get a bit of space for himself. Professor X on the same strategy, looks like trying to posture for position here. We do see both players on the same side of the map currently. There is a rift in the ice, and it is ultimately going to come down to which side do you want to be on. Do you want to be on the side with another player in the game, or do you want to be on the side that has only you. We did get a disconnection from Professor X's stream, but it looks like he is still in Fall Guys, so not eliminated yet. We are at the moment just watching from the perspective of Polio, who is spectating AAA. Professor X is back, so now we have both perspectives again. Ooh, this is risky. All of these ices are on one touch. That one's on two. Can he complete this transition? Yes, he can. All right, three people left. Professor is looking very safe. AAA still has some room to maneuver, but maybe not enough to survive. And can he make it off this ice? He's the last person remaining. It doesn't look like he can. It looks like Professor is going to make this, and Professor X taking the crown in the very last game means we need to tally up some points. We need to see what these standings are going to look like. I don't believe we have any ties. What I can tell you for sure is, unfortunately, AAA will be in fourth place. But how everyone else finishes, we are getting the scores right now, and I am going to let you know the final tallies in just a moment. No more breaks, no more ads. We are going to finish this here and now as these final scores come in. So give us just 1 second as I get these totals for you. All right, we have all the scores in. We're going to start adding them up now. So 1 moment and we will get them all in. Here we go. All right, Professor X has 22,090 points, 2090. Polio has 2230. Polio currently in the lead. Frozen Flash has 1760, and AAA will be in the rear, fourth place with 1425. Very close. AAA managing to keep up quite a bit considering that he did not get a crown. But in the end, it is going to be Polio taking first place with 2,230 points. Professor X, thanks to that crown in the last game, going to take second with 2,090 points. Frozen Flash, because of his crown in the second game, will be third with 1,760 points. And finally, AAA in the back, fourth place with 1,425 points. Congratulations to all our competitors. Thank you, everybody who tuned into the stream, hung out with us today, participated in the tournament, or just hung out in the chat. We really appreciate you. Once again, if you are interested in Fall Guys or any other tournaments, we here at the Gaming Stadium run tournaments for all sorts of esports games. So you can check us out on Twitter at Gaming Stadium CS or on Discord, discord.gg/TGS. There's plenty of games to participate in. So if there's anything you're interested in, be sure to check us out. We'll be doing more Fall Guys in the future. Season 4 drops in a week. We're looking forward to it. Fall Guys 4041, more maps, more to look forward to. But for now, once again, congratulations to our champion, Polio, taking first place in this TGS Open Series featuring Fall Guys. My name was Monty. I was your host. Thank you so much and have a good night.